What's up, guys? Duke Sloth here, and today we're doing something that has been very highly requested, actually. And because of that, I'm not doing it alone. We're updating the tier list with Emilzy. Hi.
Hello there. Yes, I'm Emilzy. Because if you don't know me, I'm the support player for Energy Esports, and I have my own YouTube. I do videos over there as well. And joining Duke, I thought it would be a pretty good idea to go together for this tier list, because obviously I have a very competitive look at the game, and you might have a more casual look at the game. And if we kind of join forces, we might be able to make the ultimate conquest tier list.
That's going to be the goal, at least. So
Yeah.
if you're not familiar with the last video, we did this a few months ago. I think at the time you were actually still with Obey, right? Is it like shortly before you changed over or
officially
something?
with Obey, yeah, I think so.
And yeah, back then it took us 2.5 hours to go through everything. So we said we're gonna make it quick. So I'm just gonna say right now, we're probably not gonna make it quick anyways, even if we try. It's gonna be a long one. Strap in, get a drink, because if it goes as expected, we're gonna talk a while, and we're gonna look at the tier list this time a little bit from obviously a big focus will be on the competitive side. We'll also look at the stats that Blues Volt always posts on Twitter. So shout out to him here for providing us with this data where he goes through all the matches and gives us the stats. And then we're going to factor in the new changes for the last 2 patches as well. So there's going to be some changes to certain items that will have an impact here. Berserker's Shield, Heartseeker, and all that stuff. And yeah, I think with that, we'll just get started, and the rest will show itself over time, unless you have anything else to say beforehand.
Not really. Let's just get going.
All right,
so we
let's
can
go.
get under 2.5 hours.
All right, that's the goal for today. Okay, first one is Achilles. Achilles, definitely still a good god, I would say, just from the SPL performance. 8 picks, 6 wins. That's pretty solid. Had a recent change to how he works in terms of his early to late game in comparison, but it didn't really change much about him. What do you think?
No, well, it felt like they kind of went wrong about the change, right? Like what they did, because like I feel like the main issue was that his early game was like he was like super strong, right? You'd have a god like Cuchulainn, which was the early dominant solo laner, but then you can pick Achilles into it and you'd kind of smack him. Then they changed up a few numbers and kind of made him a bit more, I don't know how you say, like more warrior focused, because a lot of people played him in the support role as well.
Yep.
But I think it kind of ended up being like a small buff to his late game, at least. And then, so I don't know, he's not the best god. He's definitely not the worst god. He's definitely a bit above average. I think if I'd have to place him, it'd probably just be like in A+, in my opinion. He's just a bit above average. Always kind of good, you know. Has certain matchups where he does super well, specifically thing against like Khepri and stuff where he can execute, obviously.
Right. I think that's maybe one point that could be made here for like a more casual perspective or rank perspective as well, is that obviously his execute does a lot more there, and that will also be impactful. And that combined with his good performance in rank definitely means that he's above A, either A+ or RS minus, really. That's at the end of the day, that's not a big difference. We'll just put him at A+ here, but if you want him at S minus, put him there.
Of course.
The next one is
Agni.
actually already a very interesting one, Agni.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about how you feel about Agni right now.
Agni is this weird god that never seems to get picked, but when he gets picked, he's doing work. Like, it's so weird. I think like, I don't know why Agni is just not like a meta god right now. Maybe it's because the other mages are so good, or he has this weird place in the meta, but I don't think Agni is a bad god at all. He does so much damage. Like, his early game got nerfed recently. They nerfed Agni a bit, which I kind of disagree with, but that's whatever. He's still really strong. I'm not sure, man. Like, from a competitive standpoint, he's probably pretty average, but I feel like when he actually gets picked, like, that god is doing work. He's one of the few mages that actually has escape potential, you know, with his dash. He has very long range. You Agni players are really good now at abusing the stun after that got buffed, you know. You can kind of way easier proc the 1 now with the 2 and stuff like that, so I don't know.
I think he's
sure
definitely interesting. I saw after like, I don't know, a while ago, I saw some complaints about Agni on Reddit, and that kind of came out of nowhere to me. They were like, oh god, Agni is actually like everywhere now, and I was like, really, is he? And after that, I started seeing him in every other game as well. So I think what really changed for Agni this season more than for other gods was itemization. There's just a lot of things that work in his favor, like especially cooldown reduction. Then you can proc Soul Gem on distance and all that kind of Soul Gem, right? Yeah, Soul Gem.
Soul Gem.
And that kind of stuff, which, you know, gives them a little bit of a nudge up here and there. I also agree that the nerf was kind of unwarranted though, because I think with Agni, it's just, you just have to counterplay him. Like, that is just how you work against an Agni. You have to either have someone who aggresses in his face while he's trying to get his bombs up, or you have someone who stops his dash, and, you know, you solve that problem. He's still a squishy mage, and some people kind of over-dramatized, I don't know, over-painted the picture of how dangerous he can be now. So, I mean, his competitive stats are similar. He's got 4 bans, so, you know, some people didn't want to play against him, but out of his 5 picks, he won 2 games, so it's not crazy performance. I would say, as much as some people think he's that much better now, for me, it's still like A-ish.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Honestly, also with probably pre-nerf, he was probably A+, because he was a bit more potent early, but I think A is fine.
Yeah.
It's a general like thing with all these very old school gods, that you saw Artemis had like a very, very beautiful, she was a very big deal for all of the summer split, right? And you'll probably see a god like Ymir might pop up again, but those old school gods that everyone kind of knows how to counter, and then they fall out of the meta because, well, these are the first gods, everyone knows the basics of them, you get really good at playing around it. Then it kind of falls out of your memory, and then a god like Artemis will just come sneaking back into the meta, and then a god like Agni will just come sneaking back into the meta, but like, wait a second, and then it takes you like a few weeks, and you're like, okay, this is how I play against Agni. Agni's way worse now, which is kind of what happened to Artemis.
I can see that, yeah. I mean, I think sometimes it's more than just forgetting, basically, but definitely a major factor here. And talking about gods that like kind of have this like up and down in the meta based on how forgotten they are, AMC.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
same story. Like, AMC is always like, you know, he pops up for a while, does really well in the meta, and then it's again like, actually he's just AMC, and we can, you know, kind of pressure him. And he's got some good buffs like over time, especially the hives and everything. But I wouldn't say he's B tier again, like he used to be once upon a time. But I also wouldn't say he's dominant. He's not showing, like, he's been banned once in competitive. That's it. So,
well, I think he's one of the gods that has the potential, if picked enough. Like, but I just don't see him enough to like justify putting him higher up, because I do think he's a good god, but he doesn't seem so much play. So I would be fine with placing like in A minus, because I don't think he's B tier. But I don't think he gets enough play. I don't see him enough, and that means that people don't get to know the god well enough, you know, so they get to like frag. I'm sure there's some MCR player out there that's just farming noobs, but that kind of goes for every god, you know. If you get good enough at one god, like, obviously that might be like S tier in your hands, but for the vast majority, you don't really see him see too much, and I think he's just a bit below average, mainly due to him just kind of being a hidden god, you know. I
mean, A minus very much indicates that, right? It's like a decent pick that has like niche potential, or in the right hands can do a lot better, but he's not trash, but he's also not like strong by default.
Yeah, then you have like B, C, and D, which is like bad, really bad, and like just D is just like, don't pick it, you know, like you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage, you know.
Are we gonna come up with more puns for D? Disadvantage.
Disadvantage. Disappointment.
Okay, I'll go
dead
with that.
God.
Dead god for a long time, but not so dead anymore, though still the god of death, Apuash. How do you feel?
He's broken, man. He's insane. Like, he frags if you build a team comp around him, man.
Yeah. And I think that building the team comp around him is obviously has always been a thing, but is less important than it used to be with how well he performs now. But at the same time, he's now got these nerfs, right? He's got the CDR increase on the 1 by 2 seconds. CDR in his ult increased a little bit because Hyris doesn't really want him to show up as much. But do you think those 2 seconds are going to do that much in terms of performance?
I mean, I feel like the main point here being is that the buff he got like in a patch or 2 previous is way higher than the nerfs he got, right? Like, one of the big nerfs was already in the game, they just forgot to mention it. And then was like, wait, what, is this really a thing, you know?
Didn't matter that much.
He, like, in my opinion, I think it's a Puck is gonna be first banned soon in SPL, maybe.
All right.
in like a few weeks or something when people actually realize that these immobile mages, which are starting to see a comeback, just a god like Zeus as well, we'll get to him very late, but them kind of gods, like they do so much damage, man.
Yeah.
Like you can kill them, sure, but you're still gonna get like one shot. And now he just does like so much anti-healing as well.
Yep.
And there's so many good meta gods right now. You have like Erlang is coming back in, he has healing. You have Nasha, which is I think still pretty goddamn good. You have all those kind of gods that are always gonna be like at the top of the meta. You can even argue like Baron and stuff like that has a lot of healing. He's always gonna be counter picks to those gods. So
right. I mean, the statistics in the SPL also indicate the same thing with an 85% win rate, 7 games played, 6 games won. Like, that speaks volumes.
That's pretty insane.
I'm like somewhere around S. I'm not sure if it's still S plus after the nerf. That's like what I can't tell really, but that's where I would be. How do you feel?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's probably S. I think the thing about the Puck as well is like the casual player has always thought, well, this god is so annoying to play against. And now we kind of realized, well, yeah, this god is so annoying to play against at a competitive level as well now. So this god just smacks. And I think S is ambitious, but I definitely agree that that's where he should be.
And like you said, we'll see how it develops from here, but there's still potential. At the end of the day, we got to see how much the nerfs really do and how much other gods coming into the meta as well, mid-hunters and whatever, can do against him too. And that brings us to Amaterasu, who's actually been picked a fair bit now. She's got
she's
8 picks.
First pick now, man. She even gets banned these days.
She has 8 picks, crazy. 5 bans, 4 wins, 50% win rate. So definitely not bad. And who was the talk? I think I was talking to AJ about this, and I think he was saying that like now she's actually doing decently in terms of lane clear as well, which was often like her struggle beforehand. So she's got a few things going for her now. Yeah,
definitely. At least in competitive, you see the meta is very heavily evolved, like around duo pressure right now. And Amaterasu, like for me at least, is just the support you kind of want. Like maybe besides Sylvanus, if you really want to pressure duo. And also one thing that people really underestimate about Amaterasu is she actually has super, super great sustain. And I think she synergizes really well with the items that are popular right now. You can go like reinforced boots, get Oni's Hunters, you have a lot of defense, super cheap, you have mana sustain, and off that mana sustain you're able to swap stance, you can get your health back. She does a ton of damage. She has a freaking 25% movement speed aura, and like damage, I think she does everything kind of really well.
Yeah.
The only thing she really lacks is like this big peeling tool. But at least for me, in a competitive aspect, I think Amma's probably like S. But I would agree with like overall, I would probably place her a bit lower. But
I would have said like S minus, like above
yeah.
Achilles, but below Apuash at the moment.
Yeah, and I think
obviously you have a little bit of Amaterasu bias anyways because you play in support for ages. So,
but I think Amma in general, I think Amaterasu is a better support in the current state at least. And I know that I think a lot of the pro players out there would agree with me just because the meta is so heavily around it's so much about pressure, right? And Amma kind of brings that to the dual lane, so that's mainly where you want to put her. But I still think at the end of the day, like Amma is still a great like soul laner as well, you know. So I think S minus is just fine for me.
And speaking of pressure in dual lane, Anhur. A lot of pressure right there.
Man. He hurts. Like I dueled Mephimu, right? And he got Anhur, and I got slayed by his ult like twice, you know? I was like, what just hit me, you know?
I mean, to be fair, he was always a duel beast. We got to give him that at least. But,
yeah, but now he's like the best duel god in the game.
The ult buff was just, like, I can understand why it was done. Like his ult sometimes in late game, it just didn't feel rewarding to use it compared to just using basic attacks.
Yeah.
But it gives him so much overall, man. It's just scary. His win rate, 69%. So
that's crazy.
And 9 bans, 13 picks. Like it's not like he's not being played and it's just like few games. He's just doing well.
Yeah, and he's like a really good counter pick into like Chernobog and Artemis, which was Chernobog kind of still is like top 100 picks, you know.
Yeah,
like and you're fine with playing into them kind of gods, you know.
And he's gonna get better next patch. Heartseeker, even more early pressure. Like I'm scared of seeing Anhur anywhere then. So I don't know. I think he's one of the scariest gods in the game right now, honestly.
You reckon?
Like
I think he's up there. But I mean, my first would be like S minus. I don't know how you feel about that. That's like kind of where I would place him.
I would have placed him in S with Apuash, but more in like in terms of like looking at the next patch as well. So
okay. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Oh yeah, we put him there, but like I can absolutely agree with S minus as well, especially like at the moment still. Until
I think SS is fine. I think he's gonna be pretty goddamn insane. You're gonna see like Trans Heartseeker. He's gonna frack.
I don't want to see it. All right.
He's always gonna hit you for like 1 million, and then you're gonna get basic attacked after for like 400 or something at level 10, and you're gonna die. It's gonna be very sad.
I actually had a game with him the other day, and like Anhur is literally my worst god, and I was not doing poorly, and that kind of told me that something's wrong. The next one is interesting because we were talking about immobile gods that have a lot of damage, and that's Anubis. Why do you think Anubis does not do what Apuash does?
And yeah, and like Zeus as well, right? So like the thing is, Anubis is just, he's immobile, but he's like immobile, you know? Like he needs to stand still. Like Zeus can still use his abilities, a Puck and them kind of god like Isis as well, those immobile mages. They still have some sort of like mobility while they're doing or casting their spells, where Anubis has to be committed into one space, and in at least in competitive play, a lot of the time he just straight up has to cancel his ult or cancel his one, because the enemy mage, like if you're playing against a tough or like any kind of mage, that person is going to start ulting towards the poor Anubis, you know? And then life still isn't going to save you if you're going to get one shot, you know? I think he's way too stationary.
Yeah.
I can see him being like a casual ranked low level pump stomper where you just get super far ahead because you have such high clear, so high damage teams that are playing coordinated against you. But from a competitive viewpoint, Anubis is pretty goddamn bad if you don't like literally have a strategy where you're gonna proxy the wave at level 1 with his one, right? Because he insta clears or something like that. So I don't think he's good at all. Like I think for me he's probably B, but I could see that he could be argued to be like higher, because at a casual level you kind of can abuse him. But I'm not
honestly
sure.
Like normally you see Anubis at casual level doing Anubis things, but I really haven't seen it in ages either, because I think a lot of the gods that are coming up otherwise also just do too well against him. Like Bakasura, for example, got quite a few buffs, and when a Bakasura ults an Anubis and has Hasten Katan, he just runs around him, and like Anubis misses half of his ult. So it's like, I think the situation hasn't really turned out too well for him. After the lifesteal items at the start of the season, that kind of like helped him, and after that all got like changed around a little bit. I think B tier is fine. Like B tier doesn't mean he's complete trash, and like, you know, again, in the right hands he can still work, and in the right situation and on the right level of play he can farm, but it just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, exactly. Like the success rate is like gonna be way lower than like if you're playing like AMC, I think. Like that god is just better by default. Not saying that Anubis is like CAD and just trash, don't pick him, but I don't know. I don't think he belongs there. Like, but then again, there's like another god, you know, Ao Kuang, man, the next one up. Like he's so weird. He's so weird. He like sneaks in and out of the meta, and he pumps up the rank game. The next game you get fucking, I don't know, some guy that is like has X's and numbers in his name, and that person will be like 0-12 on Ao Kuang, and you're raging. Where
this sounds like a very hands-on experience you had there.
yeah, of course. Where does he belong, you know? I'm
really don't know. Like not sure. Just on a side note, he's not been picked in the SPL, but he's been banned twice. I think that was a very targeted ban. There's one pro player that plays Ao Kuang regularly. I actually forgot who it was, but
is it Scream? I'm not sure.
I don't think it's Scream, but don't know anymore. Anyways, like Ao Kuang is always had this like weird place. We obviously plays like an assassin, has to work with mage items somehow, and sometimes that goes well for him, sometimes it doesn't. And right now we have all these basic attack items that are technically buffed, but Ao Kuang still doesn't work well enough as a basic attack mage most of the time, because you just still get shut down too quickly. People just CC you. Magi's Blessing is not on the cooldown it once was, when that still worked. And I don't know, like
Soul Rework had like changed as well, right? That really doesn't benefit him at all.
Yeah, and I mean we had the poly change a while ago as well that, you know, took away a little bit from him. So all all this instant burst that he has is kind of gone. He can kind of do that with like Soul Gem now, but that's not as easy for him as well. So I don't know. I think he's not trash, and especially like from a ranked standpoint or something, I think he can still do stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's a good god, but he's just hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Like, it's like one of them gods where you have to be really, really good at the god and have a really good understanding of like how to utilize him, you know? You'll see the average Ao Kuang player is never gonna like detonate his one on purpose, whereas like the experienced Ao Kuang player is gonna leave someone at 1 health and then like get the style punch and use his one and get out of there at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
To me, he's just, I don't know about you, but I think he's just flat A, because he can either be very good or like very bad.
Yeah.
And it depends on the person. I don't think he's like, I don't. It's just it's hard to place him, man. Like
I would have said A minus, because I think he's kind of like in a situation like AMC where we don't really see much of him to really determine what he does. Whereas with Agni, we see that he can still pull off things quite decently. Mm-hmm. I throw him in A minus, but like, you know, it's really hard to say because we don't see him either way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who knows? Maybe in a month, Ao Kuang is going to be top pick, top ban, because some item got changed or something, and now he's OP, you know?
Yeah. Aphrodite. I don't know. Aphrodite had like a quick spotlight there, but now she's gone again.
She's bad, man. I don't know. Just look at the guards right now that like placing higher. Those are all guards that do very well against Aphro, you know? She doesn't fit the meta at all. And her Amma, they kind of run you down. Puck, obviously, the anti-healing.
I also think that, especially the introduction of Samdi, kind of took away from what she does.
Yeah. Baron is like a better Afro with like different skills, you know, if that makes sense. Like Baron kind of plays the same role as Afro as the support mage, but he just does it better. Like it kind of fits the meta more, where you see more and more like even people play like Hunter mid or like Sol or Cronus or like Freya obviously as well in mid, and Baron is just better against them kind of guards because he has his attack speed reduction and power reduction on his one. Mm-hmm. Whereas like Afro is gonna kiss you and give you protections, but that doesn't really matter because that person is gonna have a lot of pen anyway. Yep. So I think Afro just fits very poorly into the meta right now. She's definitely a guard with potential, but the way the meta is played right now, I think in my opinion, I think she's just like B. Like she's not complete trash, and you can probably pull it off, but she doesn't fit the meta at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. I mean, I've been thinking this for a while, anyways, with like anti-heal becoming a bit too dominant in terms of item options, anyways. That's something that doesn't work in her favor either. So she's like, the problems for her just accumulate over time, and again, she probably still be picked at some point as a surprise niche pick, but especially with somebody around, I don't see as much of a reason to place her any higher either. Mm-hmm. Apollo got some buffs recently, but they weren't really that major. Like a bit more of a mess, like a little bit longer of a mess on the early ranks. And what was the other part?
Yeah.
Like
I don't know. Obviously, like Apollo it's gonna be one of them guards that obviously he's like a steroid based kind of with his passive, like AA based guard, right? Mm-hmm. So he's gonna get hurt a bit from the next patch. But I think Apollo is an above average hunter right now, in my opinion, because he can be played in mid and he can be played in ADC. You have the whole split push fear. He does very, very, very well in lane early on. Mm-hmm. With his passive, his obviously the buffs actually kind of helped him early on now. He has he has slow immunity on his free, right? On the dash.
I am not sure from the top of my head.
I'm actually gonna check that.
I know he's got the knockup and stuff, but does he have slow immunity as well?
Let me see. In a slide, the moves with increased value is increased. No, okay. So he doesn't have slow immunity. He has a debuff though. I think a lot of people forget about that as well. I think Apollo's A+. I think he's a bit of an above average hunter. Like he does very well. Like what you gotta remember with hunters as well is that you have like 5 really dominant hunters, and then there's like 10 hunters that are like never picked, kinda, you know? At least in my opinion. You have like Chernobog, Ullr, Anher, Rama, and Artemis, which are like probably the 5 most common hunters, and they're not like really worth it enough to ban out most of them. So it's just those hunters seem play. Jingwei, of course, as well in there, but I think there's just a lot of hunters that do really poorly, and I think Apollo's good right now. I think we'll see a lot more Apollo play. I think people are kind of falling back in love with him, and at least from my experience, I think he feels a bit above average right now. Obviously, I don't know how you feel about him. But
interesting. I would have had a different perspective. I don't see too much potential for him due to, like, again, also the upcoming patch with Heartseeker, where I think other hunters will simply bully him out in middle especially. But I'll place him in A+, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see if that prediction holds true, or if he ends up not being picked like he has been so far. So I'm down
also,
for that.
Berserker Shield is one thing we have to remember with those kind of AA-based hunters. He actually does really, really well. It's like a better Ikeval for AA-based hunters, in my opinion. Also, that means he can solo Gold Fairies, even Fire Giants, Pyromancers with the Devos and Berserker Shield. So
that's definitely an interesting point. I like that. And speaking of AA, Arachne.
Oh man!
Every time.
I just want to place an B and get like until she gets an AOE swing and like better jungle clear.
I mean,
then she's not gonna be good in my opinion.
Maybe you like on Arachne. The thing is, at the moment, there's this like wonky build which I've seen quite a few times with Arachne with haste and katana, right? Which she doesn't really need because she can slow enemies, but it can still help when her web's down. Blah 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 blah. And I think that's a slot, price-wise, stat-wise, and everything-wise. That's something that can be taken up by Golden Katana next patch. So if you want your cleave, you can have it at some point in the game. The problem is, it might just be too late in the game for you to be beneficial.
In my opinion, I feel like Bakasura is just a better Arachne.
Yeah,
like,
at the moment,
like they kind of do the same thing, right? That is early cheese, not really cheese, but like super high pressure jungle pick. And your goal is kind of the same, to like invade buffs and take the 1v1 without a jungler. You have very high escape potential on both the gods, but I think Baka just kind of does everything Arachne does, but like better. And I think obviously, like, if you give Arachne a melee attack, you need to nerf her in some other way, in my opinion. But for a god that's meant to snowball so hard, it really hurts her that her clear is so bad compared to like a low pressure god like Hunbats has better clear than an Arachne, because like that's just how it works.
All right, we'll put MB because that's where she is right now for sure. Ares. I don't know much about how he does at the moment. I'll leave that completely to you.
I haven't played Ares for like 3 months, man.
I mean, that's like, also an indication of how he's performing, I guess.
it's just I don't know. It just feels like he's a very he has a bloated kit, in my opinion. Like, his kit is insane. His passive doesn't really fit him at all. But that's like a whole other discussion. But I don't know, man. What Ares? I would probably place him in like A-.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's on the same page with like AO and AMC. I'm sure if you get really good at, he's like one of the guards, you need to get really good at him. He's not a simple guard to play. Like, sure, any smite there can like grab blink and get a big ult off, but like, you know when to use your change, you know when to use your 2, you know when to use your 3 for knockback and knock up immunity and that stuff. And like, hitting the 1 consistently is like super hard. Yeah. So I think A-, honestly, in my book. Like, he's not quite B, because he definitely still is. He's not a bad guard at all, but he's just not played enough. It's like we don't know, where he fits. It's so weird. And I think A- is just like a good place for that. Like, I think he's not bad, but he's like okay,
I think what's interesting about Ares, like, depending on which role you look at, you have to compare him to different gods. But like, once upon a time, what Ares did with his chains was rather unique. The cripple was something that wasn't like, there weren't any other gods that could like reliably put that on you for so long and follow you around with it. Like, sure, there were cripples, but not like that. But now, on one hand, you have Artio, who can like have a perma cripple around her without having to land that on anyone. And on the other hand, you have Ganesh, who can just follow you with a silence. And those gods are just easier. Like, I think Ares is great in terms of what he can do, but it's so hard to pull it off consistently that you have to be so much better than you have to be at Artio or Ganesha, for example, to just have the same effect. And I think, so I fully agree, A-. For a good player, like a good Ares is still fucking scary, but how often do you see that? The next god is typically more scary anyways, and that's Artemis.
Yeah, like, Artemis was just like first pick, first ban for all of the summer split, and then now I feel like she just fallen out of favor, at least in competitive gameplay. In my opinion, what like Artemis hit this really, like, she was at the right spot in the right time, right? She just recently got a bit of a buff, I believe, right? To like Tusky, because they were doing bug fixes on Tusky, and then that just made Tusky better. and and then we started playing low pressure in duo, and you could kind of get away with Artemis, and the problem right now, in my opinion, is that the meta kind of swayed away from her, and a lot of the guards that are really, really high value right now does really well against Artemis. Like, just look at the guards at the top of our tier list right now. I think a Puck does well against Artemis. I think Anher is like the Artemis counter, Amaterasu does really, really well against Artemis. Like Achilles, Apollo, Acne, they all do pretty well against Art. Whereas before you have this like low pressure. And I think most importantly, it also comes down to the junglers. Like, whereas before you'd play assassins, right? You'd play Ravana, you'd play Camazotz, you'd play Serqet, you'd play Ratatoska, and you'd try and dive the backline. And Artemis did very well against that because she can just outbox you. But now it seems that the favor is more towards like utility guards that are like played. You see like Mercury with tank boots, and you see like a lot of Odin players, and if you see any damage-oriented junglers, usually you're seeing like a Hebo or something, a magical guard like that. So I think Artemis just does worse than before, and I think she gets super countered by the meta right now. And it's such a widespread use of the word meta, but like, I don't know. I don't think she's that good anymore. She's like, for me, she's somewhere between like A+ and S-. That's how I feel about her.
Do you think her passive changes contributed there, or don't really matter that much?
It's hard to say, because like, honestly, I think the new passive might just be better for her, but at the same time, it's that mental factor before, like, you wouldn't want to fight an Artemis at level 1, because what if she got like 2 lucky crits and then you just lose the lane? Like, now she just has consistent damage, she's a much more consistent character, and I think that kind of took a lot of the pressure off of laning against an Artemis and actually like playing against her on. So I like A+ or S-, I don't care. She's definitely still a really, really, really potent guard. She does very, very well.
Let's give her S- just based on the stats as well. She's still getting quite a few picks in the SPL, still on a 57% win rate and 11 bans as well. So she's not out or anything. She's still good. So I'll say S- for now, and we'll see how she develops. Again, also keep in mind next patch. And then we have a god that we already spoke about a little bit, which is Artio.
She's not bad, man. She's like above average, in my opinion. She can be played in like, even in jungle. Like, you can play in solo pretty well.
I love Artio jungle. Like, it's been my favorite thing since she came out. But it can be really frustrating to play depending on like if your team needs more carry potential than Artio. But she's so fun.
It's A+ or S-, right, as well with her?
I would say A+, like, because
I
not quite Artemis level. Win rate is a little bit below 50% right now, even though she's picked quite a bit as well. But definitely still a good pick.
Yeah, A+. I think it's pretty simple with her.
A very good pick. Athena.
Ooh, Athena. She's getting nerfed.
Yep.
But the nerf is going to make her better early game. And at least what I used to do in Athena is I always max my dash right now for the dash cooldown. But I'm going to be maxing my ult next patch, so you won't really feel the nerf until you hit like level 16, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's when you're going to feel the nerf, because that's when your dash would have been a 13-second cooldown. Now it's just at a flat 14.
Right.
And I don't think, like, I think Athena is just like, I think she's gonna be better, man. I don't know. That's just how I feel. I feel like people are gonna start maxing the ult. The ult's gonna do more damage, lower cooldown. You play more around it. At least maybe I'm an idiot for maxing my 1 on Athena. I don't know, but that's because I really like the dash cooldown on her. But I don't think it's bad putting points into the ult as well. There's like a big dilemma, and I think when you get to that point in the game, regardless, like if you're gonna dash taunt, your dash is gonna be up by the time you'll have your taunt up regardless. And I don't think if a team decides like, we want to kill this Athena when she dashes in, you're not gonna have your dash up for like dashing out regardless if an enemy team decides to all in you,
Yeah, I think
that's just how I look at it.
I think the other perspective that I have in that regard is that there are situations where sometimes you just end up with your dash and taunt down, and then you just completely, I don't know. I don't want to say out of options, but you kind of are. Like, sure, you can ult on a target if you haven't ulted yet, but as Athena, like compared to any other support, you kind of feel somewhat useless in the team fight if at that point, like, for example, if your engage wasn't capitalized on, you're just kind of standing there like, well, now everything's on cooldown. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And having like the availability of the dash of the slow like a little bit earlier can sometimes just make up for that, just to slow that one target to set up a little bit more. And I think that's going to change the playstyle and team fights a little bit. But like you said, like maxing the ult instead just offers a different playstyle. And until that point, you have less cooldown. So yeah, it's probably not.
I guess the slow duration is going to hurt a bit as well, right? If you're not putting points in the dash.
Yeah, but it's minor. I guess.
I think. Yeah, she's like, for me right now she's S+, and I think for me she's also going to be S+ next patch. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel.
Initially my impression of the changes was that they would be more impactful, but after what you said, I think I can fully agree with that. Like I would say S or S+, but I have no problems at all putting her into S+ and then seeing where we go from there.
Yeah. But again, I think Athena's one, like if you, as like a last point, like you need a team to play around Athena well. But even if you don't have a team, like she's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Like she's still like S- if you're not utilizing the ult correctly.
And even like in this context, also like the more casual perspective comes in as well, or like the rank perspective where Athena is always good on any team. Like there's nothing wrong in picking that, like her into
she
any
fits
kind
everywhere,
of yeah. Like
she's like the universal bolt.
If you have idiot teammates, that one god that you want is Athena, so you can save their asses. So
yeah,
and
she fits in 3 roles as well. That's very important. We have to mention that.
Yeah.
Solo, jungle, support.
Yeah.
She fits in all those roles.
And not only does she fit in all of them, she does well in all of them, right? You have like gods that do 3 roles, but like kind of like, are a bit more iffy in one than the other, but
you don't want to play Cabrakan support.
Yeah, you could, but like, even if they say it on the patch notes, I wouldn't do it. And with Athena, like, okay, I think solo Athena can be a bit more annoying, but still absolutely manageable. And jungle and support is super easy as well. Good god to get into as well, like easy to learn.
Yeah, definitely. This is your favorite god now, right?
Not anymore.
No?
No, it's just growing tired of it. She's still very fun, absolutely, but like, it's just, I just don't like the whole single target focus anymore. Like she's been doing better in ranked, especially. I know that stats are saying that she's doing pretty well at the moment because she's been like stomping more again with a lower cooldown on her ultimate. But I just, like with Will, it's just always the same situation. If you fall behind in late game, if your team falls behind, not even you, if you're ahead and your team falls behind, you're still gonna be in a really bad spot every single time because you have nothing for the team fight unless you can somehow get a pick on someone that gets knocked up by somebody else, basically, or you're like around the corner somewhere and get them. But if you get pressured on a Phoenix, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So would you say she's in the B tier where she belongs because she's just not a good god, or would you say she's more like A-, whereas if you get really good at her, you can utilize her well? But
I would say she's A-. Like
okay.
I think that I would probably upset a lot of people if I actually said B tier because I know that a lot of people value her very highly right now as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just still don't see what she brings to the table. Like better than either an ability-based god with like, say, Ratatoskal with like a big AoE, or a full-on AA god like Bakasura that just has a team fight ult at the same time, right? She's just somewhere in between, which is cool, but somewhere in between still has to work and not just be a pop stomp god.
Yep. Another god that's very in between and like kind of just does everything a bit worse than other god is Bacchus, man.
I think you're gentle when you say a bit worse, because I really haven't seen Bacchus doing that much in a long time.
Like, if you wanna, like, if you in everything that Bacchus does, you can just get a god that does that better. If you want the big disruption ult, you're gonna pick like Geb or Sylvanus. If you want knock ups, you're gonna be playing like Sobek.
Yeah, and he even has the anti-light as well. So like, Sobek is 2 out of the 3 parts of Bacchus alone.
Yeah, and like the same, like Sobek, Bacchus passive, you can kind of compare them as well with the protections. Like he's just an overall better god. I don't think Bacchus is like a bad god. It's just that every support god kind of does what he does, like, but better.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes him bad.
Yeah.
Is he B?
I would say he's B. If Ares is A-,
well.
I would say Bacchus. Bacchus is B with his name. Or he's saying it.
B. Bad.
B bad.
Another
B god, but he's definitely not a B bad god right now. It's Bakasura.
Yeah.
He's been doing well.
Ooh. He's gonna be disabled for this week of SPL.
Oh,
maybe
because
the next
of the
2 weeks.
backdoor glitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's not important not to hotfix it. So that's one god. It's gone.
The worst part is
Can't
I heard about this really early, but I was at Gamescom and somebody sent me a link and I was like, what do you mean? It, like the way he formulated on Twitter was a bit weird. Like somebody messaged me and then I was just like, what do you mean he doesn't do the backdoor mitigation or something like, and I was like the gods haven't removed backdoor protections for ages. That's correct. That shouldn't be the case. But what he's actually trying to tell me was that he removes some backdoor protections again. I'm like, oh, okay, that should not happen.
Do you think I think he's like S minus or S.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not sure where.
I wouldn't say S because his performance in the SPL at the moment is still 42% win rate. Like, it's not absurd. There's
he's
still
kinda
good
like
ways to counter him.
right? He's a bit useless late game.
Well, not as useless as she is though.
Yeah,
you can still, if you get a good if you get positioning off well enough and then get a good ult off, you can still wreck. You just have to have a team that distracts at the front and gives you some peel or whatever. But
yeah, well, I know at least when adapting once to Bakasura, he wants it for the CC immunity, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of options where you actually have that long CC immune duration.
Yeah. I still think it's a bit annoying how it's applied with the ultimate, but it's still strong either way. I mean, I'm happy because he was trash for so long, and I love playing the god, and it's just like now it actually feels fun. And eating your own minions in the old was such a nice change.
Yeah, it's really nice. Baron, man.
Oh,
Oi. This god is like the most bloated god.
It's so funny.
In the game, stat-wise. Like, if you look at his kit, if you had a random MOBA experienced player looks at all the gods' kits, he's gonna say, yeah, Baron Sandy, this guy should on paper be the best god in the game. Because, like, what he does is just insane. They kind of nerfed that a bit. But he's still... It's so weird to me, because what Hyra seems to be doing is with every new god, it's not like less is more, it's like more is more, you know? Like, more is better. That's how it feels. Like, you have, if you look, like, you look at an old mage like Acne's 2, you know, it just does damage, and it just like applies his passive. And then you have Baron Sandy's, it likes 2. Of course, he's more of a support guard, so it can be justified that he does a few more things, but his 2, like, pre-nerf, it like slow immunity for the whole duration. Now, obviously, now it only cleanses slow, which is still super strong. 25% movement speed boost. That's better than sprint, by the way. Like, that's really strong. And then it heals, and it has a percentage heal, so it does like 4 things besides the fact that it does damage.
I think maybe the problem for Hyras here is that, you know, they want to put out kits that are still unique. And at this point, if you just do a damaging ability, it's not unique. But
yeah, I can
sometimes maybe the thought should be more like, how can we make something simple that's unique rather than just making it as complex as possible? I think Samdi is a very fun god and how he was designed anyways.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I enjoy playing him, and I see why the mechanics are there. It's just a lot to read when you want to try and figure out the god. And the interesting thing is that whenever like there were nerfs to him, I was like, okay, I think he's gonna be left alone for now, and they're gonna see how it develops. And then like, nah, he's still too good. Gets another nerf. Still too good. Gets another nerf. And I think with the last nerf, that's not even gonna, like, sure, like taking away the immunity and giving it less movement speed is gonna nerf him. But I don't think that's gonna inherently change anything about him and what he does and what his job in a fight is. He's still gonna remove the slow from you. He's still gonna heal you, and he's still gonna make you faster, just with different values.
Root you for like, He's still gonna root you, man.
Yeah.
The root is like the most annoying thing about him, and it's like the most less bloated ability, like when you think about it. And then he has his ult, and people have gotten like really good at the ult now. They're like looking away and like dragging you in by the side, and it's like insane. You see, like, we got smacked by it as well in SPL, man. Like, Baron Sandy's ult made it so we couldn't end the game, and the Titans are out on like 10 health because we just got sucked into the fountain, you know? It sucks, man. He's S+, I think. He's very high.
Yeah.
I think he could, arguably he's SS before, but now he's gotten a few nerfs that kind of hurt him. I think he still needs more tuning, but then again, that might just be me. But
no, I agree. I think the interesting thing is that, you know, the changes are like kind of like, initially we just saw him mid, but I think the changes are like slowly pushing him out of mid because he doesn't really have the clear and pressure anymore that he had at the start. But like solo or support are still very much available to him, and as long as he has all these base value like not even percentage value things, he's not gonna care. you're still gonna do percentage
exactly.
damage and percentage healing, right? This is like missing health healing. It's like, why would you bother building power even? And that gives him so much flexibility.
Yeah, he has to be like the god by far that does the most things in Smite. I'm feeling like he's kind of like the invoker of Smite.
I wish he was invoker. That would be cool.
He doesn't have 8 abilities because his 4 abilities just does everything, you know.
I mean, I guess if you look at it that way, you could say like his passive being up is like a secondary kind of ability, but
yeah, possibly.
Okay, Bastet, let's make this quick. Does she have anything of that? I mean, okay, no, actually, no, never mind. I was gonna say the Heartseeker.
I'm just kind of like looking down into the table.
Yeah, just be Bastet.
Yeah, be for Bastet. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, not much to say. She does what she always did, but she doesn't do anything exceptionally well. Yeah.
I think one point I want to make is I think a good Awilix player, just to like it might look a bit weird for you guys, but a good Awilix player is going to be doing a lot more work than a good Bastet player is going to do.
Yeah.
Just because the god is like worse.
Yeah, like
straight up.
I think the big problem for Bastet at the end of the day is her ultimate, because the rest of the kit, you know, it kind of makes sense. You jump in, you throw something at them, you do some more damage. It's all very simple, but it works together. And the cats really don't do, like, they used to be like focused on like split pushing, but then you don't really want a god that's just focused on split pushing. And in late game teamfight, they just get blown up so quickly. It's like you can farm immobile gods early, and then what?
Yeah.
All right, let's just move on to Bellona. Bellona is interesting. You want to say something? Go ahead.
I just think Bellona is like might be like the most balanced god in the game. Like, she's fun to play. She's not bad. She's not OP. Daddy, like the new shield, sure, but I don't know. Like, she's a lane bully, but she does, like, she still does work late game, but not to the same extent that like other warriors are gonna do work late game. You know, I think she's just A.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I think like a lot of the changes in that same patch as well helped a little bit here and there. Like obviously Berserkers helped a lot. Then Mystical May got buff, which you can build afterwards if you like. But it was also a minor buff. Then you have Talisman of Energy, which is something she can consider at least. So not in a bad spot. But at the same time, with Berserkers, she doesn't benefit as much as others, because she was a god that already had self-sustained through her basic attacks anyways. With her 3 if she wanted to. Yeah. She never had much of a problem clearing lane either. She usually clears lane so quickly, relatively early in the game, that she can focus on bullying either way. And she's got some nice sustain now, which helps her not be trash anymore. But it also doesn't make her absurd compared to, say, Erlang, for example, which I think benefit a lot more from this.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I would. Oh, okay. So Cabrakan for C, but I wouldn't want to put Cabrakan in C just because he got buffed.
Yeah,
right?
he's got this cooldown reduction for his one per rank now, which is nice, I guess. I think it like Hyris said, it helps him in support. I still don't see him doing much in support, anyways.
No.
I think if anything, it helps him in jungle, and you know, you can pressure more there. But at the same time, Cabrakan jungle is also such a niche pick, and it will always be, just because, you know, he doesn't like, he uses his 1 for his mobility at the same time. He doesn't really have like a proper escape, but then he also doesn't have the most insane damage. If you wanted to go full damage Cabrakan, you could do that, but you don't have like Reaver anymore to do that, for example. So you have to go into Bruiser build, but then there's so many assassins that do well with Bruiser builds now anyways. So
I think for me, Cabrakan is B, but he definitely has the potential to get better than that. Because if you look at it, a lot of the guards that are in the meta right now are like kind of getting more and more immobile, and he does very well against like Apok, Baron, them kind of guards. But I don't see it yet. I think we still need to see the meta evolve a bit more before he's gonna see some play. But I'm totally fine with putting him in B for now.
You just made me realize something. I've never actually done that, but that should actually be pretty fun, like using a Cabrakan ults against a Samdi ult and just walling yourself off from him and getting pulled into your own wall.
Yeah, Ymir does the same.
I like that. Counter. I want to see that. All right, yeah, B for now, but I can definitely see potential for him, but at the same time, not too much potential. Like decent to a potential up to A, I would say, but that's about it. Camazotz.
He's not C, man.
No, he's not C. Definitely.
What if you just had like straight up have to give an answer and come up, like just where would you put them?
Just A, I think.
Yeah, so I'm like feeling A or A plus as well, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which, but I think A is fine.
Yeah, I think like he's got this like he had these sustain buffs that were interesting, but you don't really feel them that much. And yeah, he's just doing the things he's always done. Some gods in them that are like better in the current meta just do things a little bit better. I would say, for example, Ratatoskr is an example of a god that can kind of do similar things and overall feels a little bit nicer to me at the moment. But at the same time,
even New Ravana, right?
Yeah.
Like, they do the same. Come on, Ravana. And like New Ravana is slightly better in my opinion as well.
But Kama's still a very solid pick.
Yeah, he's fun god as well. Like I like him, but he's very average.
Yeah.
Cerberus, I don't think he's very average, man. I think he's very like consistently above average in my opinion. He does very well against a lot of the meta picks right now. I know I keep saying this, but he has anti-heal.
Yep.
His passive obviously does really well. He has a lot of damage. He has protection shred. His old CC immunity, he throws people. There's a lot of gods in the game right now that are like highly, at least at the highest shelf, you're gonna see gods without CC immunity, unless they have to invest like their ult into it, right? Well, I guess that goes for most gods, but there's some other gods like where you kind of just get ulted.
Yeah.
And I think at least I would probably put him like S minus because I think he's a really, really, really good soul laner, and I also think he can be played in the support to a great extent. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's definitely a very, very strong pick still, a very potent pick. Good synergy with other gods as well. An interesting thing, which is why I was laughing earlier, is that he has been picked 6 times in the SPL, but so far he's only won 1 of the games. I don't know if this was due to like the teams just being better, but he's not been showing his potential just yet. But honestly, I think he can easily still do that. I think
he's SK been playing like Cerberus nonstop.
I don't know. The banter, Jesus.
I'm sorry.
I don't know, but I definitely agree with S minus. I think he's definitely a very strong god still. I think like a few patches ago he was valued even higher, and he's been gradually climbing up overall. Like starting off as a god that no one really knew where to put him and what to do with him. But yeah, I think this is one of the gods where I think you could say like Hyris has done the right steps to put him where he needs to be. And
then this god, man, is like the most fucking, sorry for swearing, but it's the most vague buff I've ever seen. Like the Cernos buff is so bad. It's
hey, you have 20
insane.
more damage, but only if you stay in that thing for 6 seconds or something. I don't know.
Like
10 seconds.
Off, man. Like he's very underpowered in my opinion compared to other hunters.
I think Hyris is scared to buff him just because of what he once was.
He's like Anher, right? Like he's like this 1v1 brawler that does super well.
But I would rather have Anher than Canudos in a 1v1 brawl.
Rather have Anher, rather have AMC. In my opinion, Cern is B.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think next patch is going to change that either. I think he's just...
Nope.
He needs something. But the question is really, what do you do? Like at the same time, I don't really care if he gets anything because I don't want Canudos to be high in the meta because he's so frustrating to play against when he's good. But yeah, maybe just the issue is in his one. Like it was like Ataraxia said this when like he first came out. Like Canudos can never be balanced because of his one. It's always gonna be like either too strong or too weak. And to this day, you don't really see all 4 stances of Canudos 1 being utilized. Like, you know, the bonus damage stance or whatever protection stance or maybe the healing stance, but no one uses a slow stance. I don't even know which one is like the most favorite one right now because no one plays him anymore. But it's just that if those stances have a solid impact and they have significant differences between them, then the rest of his kit can be kind of The ultimate can be more of a, you know, setup ult and everything. It doesn't have to have too much damage, but the stances have to be good enough to allow that. But then at the same time, the stances have no mana cost, so that would easily make him OP in lane again. So what are you going to do? So we can just give him a ton of stupid damage on his 2 and eventually it's going to be good enough or something. Make it 300 or something.
Maybe.
Chuck at a buff. Chuck at an interesting buff. I think this is one of the buffs that I really like, just because it's so unique, where you get cooldown reduction on your passive, like on your next ability after using it when you have like 5 basic attacks, same as with a mana free. So you don't use any mana, and you get 2 seconds cooldown reduction.
Yeah,
it's cool. I like it, but what does it do for Shark?
I don't know. I think before he'd probably be A-, but with this I'd honestly put him in A.
Yeah.
Like I think in my opinion he's kind of on the same page with like AMC, Ao. If you're really good at Chuck, you could be really annoying.
Yeah.
But now you're getting to be even more annoying. So I think A is just where he kind of sits, right? Like
yeah, I absolutely agree.
Pretty goddamn balanced.
I think what's going to be really interesting is to see if anyone utilizes that passive, because what you can actually do if you get max CDR and get like any item that reduces your cooldown through other means, then you can effectively get 2 axes. So you can use your one, and then you can use that axe to like for example in a team fight to create a slow area somewhere, and then throw your other axe somewhere else, and use that to dash somewhere else, where you would still have the rain around you and still slow enemies. So you could make like a massive slowing field exactly where you want it, but it's pretty hard to pull off at the same time. But I want to see if somebody actually like plays around with that. It'd be interesting. Chang'e.
Not much has changed.
Okay, I nearly missed that one until the dirty laugh came.
I think like she's just, like, in my opinion, she's this very situational pick, and when you can get away with it, at least for us as a team, it feels like it's very, very strong. But the key things you need with Chang'e is you kind of need jungle pressure, and you need the other god to be like a Baron Samedi, or like a kind of not like a warrior bully, right?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think Chang'e is A+. I think just because she's always gonna be good, and she has healing, right?
Yeah.
But in very few scenarios, she does like a very, very good, and there's not a lot of scenarios at all where Chang'e just gets farmed.
Nothing to add here. The only obvious issue for her right now is Berserker Shield giving a lot of bullies more sustain, which is going to be a problem, but A+, absolutely.
Yep.
Chernobog, definitely not A+.
Annoying, man. He's like the most annoying god. Like, he's more annoying than Baron, you know? You're like, Chernobog ults, and you just become like an immobile man, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you're in a wheelchair. It's actually sad.
It's dumb as well, because the way his ult was intended to be made is you have those demons that slow a little bit set up, but the whole point of the ult is you fly to an enemy and box them, have your damage reduction and blah, 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 and whatnot going for yourself. The whole idea of the shadow was just to set up for you. But instead, it's this global slow for everyone that's super hard to avoid, even if you have boots, because these shadows are like way too fast. And I don't understand.
You know what we do? Like,
why?
We initiate fights with Chernobog ult, and like Emilzy will ult, and he'll just fly back down.
Yeah.
And like, what can the enemy team do? Because they're all getting slowed, and Maniac and I'll just run in, you know?
Honestly, I think they should either make the shadows a lot slower in their own movement speed, so they actually have to chase you, and you have to like walk into them, or they should just take away the slows and make the shadows faster, so they just stick to you, so Chern can land next to you, but you're not slowed globally. And I did like Chern's kit from the start, because I thought it was like bloated in a weird way, and I still think it is. Like, he still like has so much between his 1-2 as well. He still has good clear, and he's got that CC, and he's got an attack speed steroid, and he's also got a solid escape, at least. Depending on the situation, it can be very good or not that good, depends on where you stand. But
like, isn't he like the only god besides like Sol that literally just has like 3 seconds of like Aegis?
Yeah. I think so, at least. I mean, there are others with shot immunities, but I don't think there's anyone with like a long immunity like that. And I don't know. Again, it's situational. If you're not near a wall, it can like not happen, or if you get blocked off. But when it happens, it's good. So he has got like one weak spot in his kit, and everything else is good. And that weak spot is still conditional.
I think Chernobog as a hunter is S, but just the fact that you can play him in mid as well to like very, very high effectivity makes him S+, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like much like Athena and somebody, he's got like a lot of perks that put him over others. Especially like the global presence as well. Like global presence, he's kind of in a stupid way, not really, but like don't take this literal, but like Athena and Nuwa in one god. Different, but somehow. Just annoys me. Just take away these stupid ghosts. Chiron got a little bit of a buff to training exercise. Base damage should help with clear. And obviously a prime contender for mid hunters and therefore for Heartseeker. So right now we don't really see him, but I think he's one of those that we could see more.
Yeah. I would place Chiron in A with the potential of him like being better than that, but it hasn't been proven to me yet, and that's kind of what I need.
Yeah, I can definitely see him go higher because he can be scared. We've seen I think it was Venenu that played ability Chiron pretty successfully once upon a time in mid. He can be scary, but we'll have to see it first. Talk about seeing someone. We haven't really seen that much of Chronos, have we?
Ooh, like the thing is, like at least for us, like Emilzy will play Chronos like once every 10th game, or like 20th game, and Chronos will seem like the most broken god in the game, and then he'll just disappear.
That's actually his story. Like when you think about this, his story almost since season 1. Like he's there for a while. Everyone's like, oh my god, Chronos. And then he disappears again after like a nerf or whatever, or nothing at all sometimes.
I mean, I would say that he's for me, he's on the same page as like Ares and MC and Ao. Like I think he's better than A-, but I don't think we see him enough to justify putting him better than A-, right?
Yeah, I can see that. I would say like A- or A, but A- is totally fine. From all the item changes that were done for mages and AA mages, I think he benefits the least as well. So. Yeah. Kukulcan. Oh, interesting. Kukulcan actually stat-wise not that great at the moment. 7 games played, 2 wins only, but I would still say he's very good.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is definitely one of the better gods in the game right now, in my opinion. Very, very good solo, and with like obviously the nerf at level 1 when he doesn't get both abilities on transformation really hurt him specifically, that he could be playing support. You don't ever see that anymore. Now I just built him in solo, pick him in solo. I think for me, like, he's either S- A+.
I would say S-. I'd still say like he still has that bully potential for solo. Like if you want a bully in solo, sure you have the Berserker shield guards now, but he is still good. Still very potent. How well?
Cupid.
Oh.
Oh, you want to say something?
No, we can move on here.
Okay, it's just because like them gods, I feel like every people like kind of have an agreement like this god is just by default good, which is like a colon. And then there's like a god like Cupid and Daji as well. Like the 2 next gods, I literally just want to throw them in A- and get it over with, because those 2 gods, like all other gods in A- right now, as it seems to me, are gods that can be really good, but you need to have a really good understanding of when to play it. You know?
I think Cupid A-, I agree. I would say Daji is more A than A-.
You think so?
Yeah, I think she has, like, depending on the comp, she still has great setup overall. She's still like obviously not the best god in the jungle right now overall, but especially if also from a non-competitive perspective. She can absolutely stomp as well, obviously. And she can do that to a higher level than the normal pub stomp gods.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to agree with you on the A, because I think Daji is a hard counter to gods like Apuk, Zeus, and Morrigan, which are all gods that do really well right now. We'll get into the Morrigan.
Interestingly enough as well, she was picked once in the SPL, but that was a win. So, showed up once and showed up.
Yeah, I like it.
Discordia. I would say she's definitely good.
I think she's definitely good, but she's definitely not that good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that reflects in the stats as well. 50% win rate out of 6 games.
She seems like to me she seems like the definition of A+.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's just where I would put her.
Down for that. A+. Yeah. And now my new nightmare Nemesis.
It procs up the dog, man.
It's so stupid. Why? And this was the case with Death Toll, and now it's the case with Berserker Shield. And in case you're not aware of what we're talking about, he can double proc Berserker's Shield because of his dog, because it's considered an individual basic attack, and Hyris doesn't have any option to change that without changing other interactions as well. And he also has the cleave attack on top of that, so he can proc it even more. And he wasn't even that bad before. Like
jungle, solo. You can play him wherever you want, man.
Yeah.
Play Erlang mid, Erlang ADC. It doesn't matter. He's great. He's really good.
I mean, like, the competitive games right now are not played on the Berserker's patch yet, right?
No,
They're on
I
the patch
believe
before.
that.
And on that
Actually, okay, so like, so the games for week 3 and onward will be played on Berserker's Shield.
Yeah. So we are in, like, the stats we have are from week 1 and 2. And in that week, he was already picked 6 times, banned 3 times, and had 2 wins. So not the best win rate, obviously, but he already had value. He was already considered a good pick. But Berserker's Shield just multiplies his value. Like, no other god does so much more with it. Like, I'm willing to put him very high up.
I think like for me he has potential of S+, but
I would say S for now,
that
see how we go. Yeah. But he's so frustrating to play against. Like, it's not like, it's not even that he's a pure AA god either, right? Like, normally you have AA damage and that's your Berserker Shield god, but he still has a stupid amount of ability damage for the early stages of the game, which still allow him to bully out opponents very, very well. Like the other day, I was recording a Loki game. I had to play Loki solo for a game, and I went against an Erlang and I got obliterated. Not even from building Berserker's Shield, but just from the pressure he can put out outside of that. And having that combined is just nasty, man. Don't like it. Next god I like, and that's Fafnir.
He's good.
He's definitely good.
Pretty good.
He's been picked a lot. He's been performing decently. 46% win rate, but 13 picks, 4 bans.
Yeah.
S minus, A plus.
A plus, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like he's a really, really solid guard, but he lacks early pressure, and the early pressure has to be valued super highly right now, at least in competitive. And I think he's better in competitive than just casual play.
Yeah. I mean,
so I think A plus is fine for me. He's like the above average guardian.
Fenrir.
Man, for me he's B.
Yeah,
like
I'm actually almost tempted to put him into C. Like, I'll put him B, but like, Fenrir is, like, the big deal of Fenrir was always his ultimate to pick enemies out. Not only is Magi's like a lot more popular again, and beats are everywhere still, but like, if you want to pull someone to you, pick them out, you can just pick that G and you don't have to walk in all the way.
Yeah.
And other than that, like, he also was good because he could build Bruiser, but there's so many assassins that can build Bruiser now that what's his selling point? Not a fan. He had 1 game and 1 win, so we got to give him credit for that, but I don't think we'll see much more of that. Freya.
Ooh.
30 bans in 2 weeks. 13 picks, 6 wins, so not that high of a win rate, 46%, but 30 bans. She's getting another nerf. She's getting 2 nerfs actually, like, that she doesn't have on competitive yet. I think one is to the base value, and the other one is to scaling of the 1 a little bit.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, so less scaling in the 1, from like 40% now.
Yeah, I think what pushes Freya out more than before and more than anything else is Berserker's Shield, because that means AA guards can come back into the meta a little more. Can box with her.
Yeah, like guards like Osiris, Bellona, Erlang, they're all guards that do very well into Freya.
Yeah.
I would still say she's S in my opinion.
Yeah, she's definitely still very good, so absolutely.
But she's not S plus.
Yeah.
But I think like one of the most busted things about Freya is like how she never really runs out of mana.
Yeah.
Like late game you just basic attack once you get like 100 mana. It's like it's so stupid. That's what they need to change, and then I'm fine with giving her some damage back.
Yeah.
But
I think that like for like especially like for the non-competitive players right now, like if you're dealing with a Freya, it's definitely more manageable again. Like we had a game the other day. 2 people played AA warriors. I think it was Erlang and Osiris. It wasn't even Bellona, so it wasn't even disarm, but they just ran over the Freya because they could out-sustain her damage long enough and trade her in melee range. And there's very little she can do at that point when she can't run over the opponents herself. But
yeah, she definitely has counters.
Yeah.
Like, definitely.
And that's what makes her a little bit weaker. I can see her fall off more over time as well. We'll see how much the nerfs do in that regard too.
Yeah.
Ganesh.
Ganesh. Oh, man, I feel like the only thing Ganesh does well is his silence. Like, that's his only gimmick, in my opinion. And then, like, he just kind of, like, if you get lucky, you'll hit the 3-man. That stuff's hard to hit.
Yeah.
Because it's so slow to channel.
Yeah.
And then his ult feels kind of meh. Like, people in the start, people were kind of scared of it, but now people just kind of walk through it, in my opinion.
Yeah. The only time it's a risk
like,
is
stay
if he,
still.
Yeah, if the only time it's a risk is if you get knocked up by him, like, with his 3 when you walk out. But
yeah, exactly.
if that's down, then, well, it's a bit of damage. It's a slow. As long as you can walk through it and not get stuck in it, it's okay.
Yeah.
A minus?
I would even say B, man. He feels very useless. And
Yeah.
I'm a big Ganesha lover myself, man. I wanted him to get that tier 5 skin. I absolutely adore his new skin. It's arguably one of the best skins in Smite, but
Can you please rename yourself to Big Ganesha Lover?
yeah, the Ganesha lover. That's gonna be my Smurf. Watch out. I'm gonna be a Ganesha main, you know. I'll have like a 30% win loss, but I don't care, you know. He's B in my opinion, man.
Yeah. Okay. Geb.
Geb. Ooh, Geb always and has always been and will always be a good guardian.
Mm-hmm. But he's not showing that right now, by the way. Like, he's not being picked in competitive. The only time he was picked, he got a loss. 2 bans.
Damn.
He's not that highly valued. I think maybe it goes back to what you said about lane pressure as well. You just don't have that much pressure with Geb, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I would still say he's a solid pick. No pun intended. Like, he's just... he's got that shield. That shield is always good and the ult's always good. Like, what more do you want? And a knockup. Like, it's all there.
I think he's A+.
I would say A. Because we don't really see anything indicating that he's better than A at the moment. Like, if he was picked more, I would agree. What do you think is A+?
When I would pick Geb, or when I pick Geb, it's mainly because I am playing against Anasha or someone with crit. Like, I actually think the passive is really, really strong. Mm-hmm. That's like when I would default to Geb. Or like, unless you're playing against like very high, like one, like you want to kill one person, like Serqet or something, you know? Like, that's a Geb counter Serqet. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I can see why Geb would be A. Yeah.
I mean... The problem with Najadiel is that he doesn't crit that much anymore anyways now.
Yeah.
But I can see the reasoning for A+ as well. Yeah.
I'm fine.
Just putting in A.
Although
we have to put some more guards into A. There's not enough guards there yet.
Yeah, we need it to look like, you know, it needs to be like most guards in A, then A+, A-.
Right now it's most guards in B. We just have a decline. Okay, that brings us to Guan Yu.
The Guan Fu, the ninja, man.
I have
How's
not
he doing?
seen him anywhere.
He's getting old.
He's getting very old.
Oh man, I thought this guy would be so broken when they changed him, and then he turned out to be kind of disappointing, and then they nerfed him a bit, and now he just seems more disappointing.
It's weird. I really thought he went like more in store as well, but
he has to be like one of the least played guards, right?
Yeah. I mean, like SPL, he's not picked at all, and
yeah, like
outside of that, I don't think he's picked much either. I love Guan Yu.
He has a pick ban rate of 4% in ranked.
Well,
his win is pretty average at like between like 48 and 54, depending on what like rank you are. But
I mean,
he's never picked really.
A-?
He's
kind of.
Why do you think he wouldn't be B and why he would be A-? Like, is there a good argument for not putting him in B?
I just looking at the gods in B, like, I think a Guan Yu still brings, like, if I would see an enemy, an ally pick Arachne, I'd be like, oh god, no. If I see an ally pick Guan Yu, it's like, well, you know, he's got some setup, he's got some heal, he's got some shred. It's still nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, wow, it's Guan Yu, but I'd be like, yeah, you know, still does more than Bacchus as well, for example. But it's a it's a close A minus.
Yeah.
It's it's on the edge here.
Yeah.
Hachiman is not on the edge. He's pretty good.
What do you think of Hachi? You think he's pretty good?
I think he's still pretty good. Like I think he's not the ADC anymore. With CERN kind of, not CERN, Churn, the other one. Cernunnos taking a spot. It was with Chernobog taking a spot. He's got the lane pressure that's not terrible, but it's not the best. He's got that range damage, which was first considered a gimmick, then suddenly really good, and now is more okay again. He's got a good ult, but then he has to consider how he uses it. He doesn't have the best escape. He's alright, I think, but I mean, at the same time, he was picked twice in the SPL and he won both games, so he can't be garbage at least.
Yeah. Okay, so I think right now on this patch he's probably A+, but I think he's so much on the edge of are you gonna play Medusa or are you gonna play Hachiman? Are you gonna play Chiron or are you gonna play Hachiman? I think next patch you'd rather have a Medusa or Chiron on your team.
Yeah, true. I agree.
So I would place him in A.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. That's a good place for him right now. We'll see how it develops. Maybe he can make more use of Heartseeker as well somehow, but I doubt it because he's got his mana passive anyway, so shouldn't even invest into that stuff.
Hades. Did you see the clip of Hades doing 1700 damage with his free?
No, I did not. What?
Osiris was playing ranked against Mogao, which is of course the legend, the Hades player. He's built full damage, right? He's bankrupts. He's one hit and he hits the free on 3 people and he gets an instant triple kill. And he gets for 1700 damage with his free. I was what just happened?
Well,
but I think besides that,
Hades clearly SS. No question.
He's just B, right?
It's another one where I'd be B or A minus. Is he as B as the B gods, or is he more A minus? But I'm down for B.
I think he's as B as the B gods.
I think the last straw for him really was the fact that Samdi came into the game, and Samdi ult kind of fulfills the same purpose, even though it's different. Yeah. And does it better.
It's like Hades ult, but you can move and you
and you can target whoever you want, and you can stun them too and do extra damage.
Is a lot better than protections as well. You
know? Habwa,
the Hebro. He's just a jungler, man. He just doesn't really fit. So my main problem with Hebro is he was this insane god. Once you get to the late game, and he's a really, really good god. He might be one of the best gods in Smite. But where do you put him, Yeah. Where does Hebrew go?
That's why people outside of Conquest hate him so much. Because there he can do what he's, designed to do.
Exactly. But the problem right now, at least, is, you can't really put Hebrew ADC, because then you're going to get camped and die. If you put Hebrew mid, you're going to get camped and die. He was solo, you're going to get camped and die. So you have to put him in jungle. But that means you're kind of, very, very vulnerable to early invades. But if you can't pull it off, and you can't get your Hebrew, not even from ahead, but from even to late game, you have a very high chance of winning. But oh man, it just sucks he doesn't fit anywhere, because he's probably SS plus in all other modes, but when it comes to Conquest, he's not there, because you can't always get a hero to late game at all. You probably have a 33% a rate of actually getting him to where you want to be with him.
Well, stat-wise in the SPL right now, it's a 66% rate, so it's not too bad. 3 games played, 2 games won.
Okay.
I would say he's above A when he can do what he wants to do, but I don't know how much above. I don't think he's S material really.
I would put him in A+.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking as well. A little bit above A, can do very well.
A+ for the Habwa.
Yeah. Hel. Tell us a story about where your favorite support went.
Yeah, okay, so Hel was really, really good, because the play style towards Worlds was that you kind of didn't have to play pressure and duo, and you could play Hel, and Hel is actually really good pressure and duo if you have an ADC, because she has 2 abilities at level 1, right? She was pretty good. Then she got nerfed because apparently Hel had always been really good. It was just us pro that was silly for not playing her. And then she got nerfed, and it kind of hurt her quite a bit. And I mean, and then after the nerf, I really thought she was gonna come back with Lono's mask, but then they added the healing
reduction.
like, yeah.
Which I honestly think is understandable though, because it would have been very
course.
good on healers otherwise. Like very.
Like Hel would have been broken. You have a guard running around with 20% damage. Like you don't like Hel does a lot of damage, but you don't need to do a lot of damage. That's not what the guard is about. You know.
Exactly, especially because you would like do the early damage anyways until you get the mask, and then at that point you're more of a
when you get to that point in the game where you actually have Lonos, your job is not to do damage, and early game you're still going to be doing damage. Like one thing I do think Hel has going for is the XP change. She is going to be more farmed, at least when played in support.
Yep.
I think she's more of a soul laner now. But if you want a support guard solo laner, you're just gonna play Baron Samedi.
Yeah, true.
Which also is so.
It's funny how much of our tier list right now revolves around, but you could just play Samedi instead.
Yeah, you could just play Samedi and just win, man. Oh, it hurts, man. But is Hel just like C, man?
Nah, I don't know.
You don't think so?
No,
it's not too
that bad.
I just hate her now, man. I love her, but
I think she's definitely fallen off a lot, but I think she still has things going for her, and even now you could build her with Lonos and just take that bit of a healing reduction, because you still have a lot of other things going for you. You know, movement speed, cleanse, protection reduction, all that. I wouldn't put her lower than B though. Like
I'm down for B then.
I think she's still, you know, there's somebody in the SPL seems to value her. She still has 3 bans, so she's not complete. Maybe there's some strat from some team that I don't know about. But yeah, I think, you know, I would not even be completely opposed to put her in A-, but given that you proposed C, we'll put it in B.
Oh, that's how it works. Okay. Yeah, Hergus is S, by the way. Let's.
Yeah. What?
Nah. Is he just one of them like average warriors again?
Yeah. I'm just down to put it in an A. Like.
Yeah. Same.
Not like he had a bit more bully potential before, but again, a victim of Berserker's Shield, where he doesn't really benefit as much as others. Had 1 game so far, 1 win, so that's nice for him, but I don't think it's necessarily going to continue like that. Just, you know, certain situations where he can be good. Oh, yeah.
Hohi. Okay, so I think Hohi is like also like a very average hunter, maybe even like towards the kind of how we defined A-, where like you need to be very good at the guard, and then you can do a lot of work.
Yep.
But I think that Heartseeker is going to help him a lot, because he's also a very good mid laner. I think Hoyi actually does better in the mid lane, because the lane is tinier, you're more around the jungle where you can really do your bounces and stuff. So I think he's A for me, with the potential to climb for next patch.
Yeah, I can absolutely
That's
agree.
how I look at him.
It's interesting as well what you're saying, like, you know, decent but only really good in the right hands. We see that in the SPL, he's been picked 11 times, but only had 3 wins. So in the wrong hands, he just can't do his job. Somebody who doesn't really need to be as much in the right hands though is Hunbatz, because he's not that hard.
Press fawn, win.
Or lose, because his win rate doesn't exactly indicate that he's doing all too well either.
Oh, really?
7 games, 2 wins.
Ooh, rough for the monkey, man.
But I still think he's strong.
Yeah.
I
mean, if you look at like the junglers on the board right now, I think he's better than Artio and Camazotz, but I wouldn't say he's better than Bacchus. And I would just put him A+, right? He's just a bit above average. Yep. And I think what also goes well for Bats is like kind of this filler that's always gonna do good in like kind of every team comp, regardless, you know. He's like this filler guard that just does well, you know.
I think the only thing that Hunbatz can't do that well that would be beneficial for him is go into like more bruiser-oriented builds. His kit is just very designed around building damage, and that's probably the biggest downside.
The Egyptian god of demonetization.
Let's not mention that. You can see the name up here. She can flap her wings, you know, and stuff. Has a big circle ultimate and stuff.
She's D, man. I get so demonetized. I get copy striked. Where does she belong? The god who shall not be named.
She got a buff not too long ago. I actually remember, and it didn't really do much.
Oh, it's to the old, right? Like the max charge or something.
I actually don't know what it was. It could be.
The charge up time. I think it was like the charge up time on the old, or like it just had higher charges at lower levels, right? So
I think it was related to the lower levels. This is one of those cards where you just don't see her. So
I think she's A minus.
Yeah.
I'll put a D for the name only, but.
No, A minus. I'm fine with that. That's like kind of similar to like a Willish or something, where she does some things that she does better than others, but like
and then
not as great as other immobile guards either in terms of what she can do.
Yeah, going for the most frustrating guard for us content creators, we have the most brain dead guard, arguably. Hold down left click and be cheesy. That's kind of how she works in ranked, at least. You know, if you're against an Izanami, you're always going to check for proxy, because most Izanami players just goes to a Phoenix at level 1. It's kind of sad.
It's kind of sad and depressing. I mean...
A minus? It's my first instinct.
0% win rate would indicate that too. I actually thought she wasn't too bad. I actually didn't realize that she was not performing at the standards. I thought she was more like A, but I can see definitely that A minus is more appropriate.
Well, it's like you don't see her that often, and I think there's definitely a thought to be made that like there's good and bad Izanami players, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like you can say there's good and bad like Hachiman players, but he's way more straightforward, you know?
Yeah.
Like Izanami, you actually kind of have to do stuff correctly, whereas Hachi just kind of hit your ult, you know. If you miss your ult, you probably shouldn't be playing regardless. Without being too rude, you know.
I bet I've missed it at some point and still I'm laughing. Janos. He's got 5 games played but 0 wins so far.
Yeah, and he has like 41% win rate on like SMITE GG, man. He's like just the worst guard by far, but he isn't.
Just D tier, absolutely no. I think Janos is not as bad as the numbers indicate, but I mean, maybe one of the issues is that he's just not as much of a big damage team fight guard as many other mages are at the moment.
Yeah, he's very like you need to hit the ult, or you're not really gonna do anything. His free is pretty good.
Yeah.
So what we do in Energy is always, if you play against an international team, we don't know what to ban because we don't really know what they play. So we'll try and remove those guards which are kind of like, if you get really lucky, you'll win the game. And that's kind of how Janus feels late game. If you get really, really lucky, you'll win the game.
Yeah.
He takes a big amount of coordination, and at the highest competitive level, Janus is a really, really good guard. But for the average ranked player, the average Conquest player, the average even competitive team, they don't realize how well he can be utilized. And I think he's average for me. Like, I don't think he's as bad as the stats shows, because he definitely is a good guard in my opinion, and he has a lot of potential. But I do think that like the other guards in A minus you don't really see that often, but you see Janus like every now and then, you know, like Janus is like a very played guard, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think he's A.
Yeah, I agree. A, but like not with a tendency to A plus at the moment, like more downward tendency than upward tendency.
Yeah.
Jing Wei.
Jing. I don't know. I think Jing is very, very safe. I think she does pretty well. The problem she has is this whole pressure thing that's going on right now. But that's kind of a double-edged sword, because Jing Wei is the guard you want if you'd want to play like low pressure, do like alternate strategies. You saw Obey 3-man invaded the enemy speed buff, and Ataraxi started on their own speed buff. He got boots 3 after he did their own speed buff. He got boots 3 and ran to lane, and he kind of had a free lane from that.
Yeah.
So you can do alternate strategies with Jing if you're against high pressure. It's like one of the get away, at least at high competitive level. But I think Jing Wei is a very, very solid hunter. She is very hard to kill.
Yep.
She does a lot of damage. She kind of likes that CC because she only has a knock-up, but high objective damage. I think she's a bit better than like Huyi and Hachi, in my opinion at least. From a competitive standpoint, you'd rather be against a Hachiman or a Huyi than you'd be against a Jing Wei.
Yeah.
And I think she's A+.
Yep, I'm absolutely down for that. Stats indicate the same. She's got 13 picks, so not underpicked for sure, and 53% win rate. She's there.
She's one of the, yeah, she's one of them gods where like it's like Fafnir as well. Like you see them gods like very very often, but they're just like pretty goddamn balanced, you know.
Yep.
And I think I just want to mention this now that we're like halfway into this. Like it's kind of crazy, 1.5 hours already. Like I think Smite is at a really really balanced point right now. I think you can play so many different gods in so many different roles.
Yep.
And so many different classes, which is what makes Smite unique as well, right? Is that like every item, every god has potential to be picked or built in like one role that it wasn't meant for in the first place, which is what makes Smite really unique for me at least, and which is why I love playing, you know. And I think even though that there's a lot of hiccups right now and stuff, I think Smite is in a really really good spot balance wise. There's of course a few gods that are super frustrating, but it has been a lot worse, and you can play pretty much any god in the game right now. And
if we look at the tier list so far, like the most frustrating gods are, as usual, and not too surprisingly, the new releases that just, or like in Freya's case, the rework, that just need to find their place still. So
yeah,
they like, will get adjusted over time. And Hyris talked about this goal like a while ago, like I think it was like a good 1.5 seasons ago, that they said they were trying to make more gods viable in more roles, and I think they've really done that. And even though they introduced the masks and they didn't really do that much in that regard, overall it still worked out quite well for like looking at most of these picks at least. And then we're looking at somebody who isn't a pick because she doesn't get picked, and that's Kali. Kali is just bad Bakasura, honestly.
I can see that. I think I would put her in A- because again, to me, she's one of them gods that like she falls under that, like she's a bit below average, but there's going to be a few very very good quality players that's going to farm.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a bad design or like character at all, but I don't think she's never really going to see competitive success like ever. I don't think that's a thing because teams are just too good at peeling.
Yeah, it's like AA focused melee characters will always have a hard time, and then with Kali you don't have CC immunity on top of that, or like not full on CC immunity, and that just, you know, stops what you're supposed to do, your main job in your tracks basically. Khepri.
The Cappers. I love Khepri, man. You know what I get really confused about? When I see like Polar Bear Mike and Carlos and they don't max the 2 on Khepri, man.
Wait, what do they max? The 1?
The 3 and the 1, man. They max the 2 last.
Why?
I don't know. They don't like 30% damage mitigation and 25% protection debuff.
And lane pressure damage. And anything, really?
I got very confused, but there has to be a good reason behind it. I'm not going to say anything. I just hope that they're not going to watch this video and that they're going to keep leveling Khepri wrong, because that's an advantage for me. I'm sure they have some good reasoning behind it, but I think Khepri's an above average support. I think he, with the recent, the buffs, not the recent buffs, but like he got a buff to his 1 now, which was Khepri's big problem, is he was very easy to kill, and like it didn't really help that if you pulled someone you got even easier to kill. Now he has a few protections. It's more than anything, it's going to help him early game. Also finally like makes it, you always had to choose, am I going to max the 1 or the 3, because like they're kind of as good to max, you know, it's the same amount of CC. And now you're like, well, I'll just max 1 because it has protection on it. So I think Khepri's like A+ in my opinion. I think he's pretty good. Having a revive is like super 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 strong, and utilized correctly, he's like really really good.
I think the problem for Khepri that we have mostly in terms of evaluating his performance is that he's not really played much, so we don't really have any stats on it. You see him a fair bit on like a more casual level though, so yeah, I can see A+. I could also see A. Like I think he's not like overwhelmingly good, or that I would say there are gods in A+ that are better than him. But at the same time, there are also gods in A that are worse than him, so somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Kukulcan.
Oh, he's weird, man. He's like really, really bad and competitive, but I think he's really, really good in like casual conquest.
Nah, he's not. Like not from what I like. Maybe on like a very low elo, but I haven't seen like the only thing that Kukulcan really has going on like medium level casual at least is the old secure.
Yeah, exactly.
but
Objective
that's it.
secure, right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's about it. He's definitely not a.
Well, I don't play casual, so I wouldn't know, you know. I'm just a
No.
ranked slave.
But like, do you even see him in ranked at all?
Sure. Sometimes, yeah. Like, but it's not too often. And
Yeah.
usually, I think people do well, but that's more because people are not used to playing against it,
Yeah.
rather than their god actually being good.
Yeah, I think it's more the people that really play him a lot that do well, and that's why they pick him in the first place. I don't know, man. A minus B.
I think he's better than Anubis,
Yeah, that's true.
and I think he's like probably like worse than like Isis. So I think he fits more. Like he's more towards Isis than he's towards Anubis. If we're gonna use that as
that's a
guidelines,
good
some
point. Yeah.
A minus.
A minus. Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna is SS tier because his new skin is absolutely amazing. No discussion. Kumbhakarna has actually been played a lot. 7 games, 3 wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surprisingly high for a god that last time we put them in C or in D.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I have always hated Kumbha. Just thought he's like this annoying god that like you'd pick if you're not very good at the role because he's very straightforward, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He does very well against like double hunter and stuff because of the attack speed reduction on his mess, which
Yep.
is one thing that people don't see too often. In my tier list, when I do it for like support only, you know, I'll there's been he has raised quite a bit up like through the ranks, Kumbha. Because I was put him in C and D as well, as you said, and then people started, well, he does pretty well right now, and I started to see it more and more, and I think it's more of a like, what I always say about Kumbha is I think he's very, very predictable in everything he does. He's so channeled.
Yeah.
Like his 2 is very channeled. You're gonna predict the blank gold. It's not like you know you always have your finger ready. It's like it's his only gimmick is really his blank gold, and that kind of hurts him. Like you're so channeled with everything else you do. However, I think people are getting better at playing Kumbha, and I don't know. I honestly think he's better than Bacchus and Ganesha, but I don't think he's like better than Ares or something. I'll put him in A minus.
Yeah, I agree. I think he has potential to go higher than that, seeing that he's picked quite a fair bit and he's doing his job, and also because he has that skin. So you know. Everyone's just going to be playing him, so everyone's going to get more practice, and then he's going to be really good.
Hey! Or whatever that couple says, you know.
I was going to say that's another god. That's the next one right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kuzenbo is better than people think he is.
What is Kuzenbo? Is he a solo? Is he a jungler? Is he a support?
He is a solo laner, and he can be played in solo now because you are seeing more. So like before, you in the other seasons the focus was very much on soul lane and getting pressure in the soul lane. At least from a competitive view, you play Cuchulainn, you play like Achilles, you'd play like even Ullr and Vamana. You know, you play all them kind of gods. Or everything was about getting solar pressure, invading the blue buffs, invading the speed buffs. Now we're seeing a switch in competitive at least where it's much more about dual lane pressure, which means that you're picking more late game guards in the soul lane because you don't want to all in on just having early pressure and then not have a late game. That means guards like Cerberus, Baron, even Chang'e I've seen, Sobek, like those kind of late game soul laners that have very like low early pressure. They seem to get picked a lot more often, which also means that I got like Kuzenbo that doesn't have too much early pressure, but it's pretty goddamn good late game, man. Gets more picked.
Gone?
Yeah.
I still think his ult is one of the most annoying parts of his kit. I still think
his ult is really good, man, and they even buffed it now. Like it's better.
It's good, but it can also be so detrimental to your own team depending on the situation, and that's what like I still dislike about him. But the stats don't lie. He's got 6 picks and 3 wins, so must be something about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting more and more popular by every day that goes by, and I think he's A with the potential to climb, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty goddamn good right now, but you cannot pick him in every game because you're still gonna get out pressure if someone picks Cuchulainn and just runs you down and you're gonna be useless. But you also look at a lot of the gods. It's a very single target meta we're in right now. He does very against Freya, Chernobog, Bakasura. Like, it's only really a poke, and you'd say even against a poke he's gonna do pretty well, right? Because he's gonna eat all the poke, and you're just gonna do it. I think he's pretty good right now.
I think the bigger issue for him is that we don't know what's gonna happen to solo with Berserker's Shield. I think those gods are gonna slap him. Like even with the reflect,
exactly.
That doesn't really matter at that point.
Yeah, you're not gonna be healing as much as it's gonna reflect. It's gonna do at that point anyway.
I'm a bit torn because of that, because I'm like thinking like, yes, A, but I don't think he's got any potential towards A+. I think it's more potential to go to A- if Berserker's Shield stays the way it is right now for a while.
Okay, I can see that. But are you fine with putting him in A for now?
Yeah, put him in A for now and then see how it goes. And then we have Loki.
Yeah, so I think for competitive, Loki is probably D tier. We've tried it ourselves. We got a really good lead, and late game Loki just sucks in a competitive environment.
Yep.
People are too good. Like, people are too disciplined. People don't. So what Loki does so well at a low level is you get this you get this rage factor, right? Where you're like, oh, this god is so annoying. I just need to kill him. And you're gonna see the Loki's just like getting chased around, from like the cartoons by like 5 people while the team is doing Fire Giant, Gold Fury, whatever, and everyone's just chasing the Loki around. He's like, ha ha ha! Now I have Pumbaa's mask as well. Try catch me now, That's the only reason why I think he's not like this, like honestly D in my opinion.
Yeah,
because he at a ranked level and like a casual level, like he's a great pick if you want to win. Like, sure, you can be really annoying with Loki.
It's interesting how like his rank stats have actually gone up massively as well. Like in higher level ranked, like even to I think even the Diamond Plus ranked stats. Last time I checked, he was much higher than he used to be. So apparently, there's something about being annoying that is good for ranked. But at the same time, I still think. We expected him to have more value early in the season, but didn't really turn out that way all too well. I don't know. I really don't know how low I want to put him. It's like, I don't.
Oh man, it's hard because I feel like in ranked he's honestly like S or something because people just don't know how to play against him. I don't know how it is in like casual conquest. Because I'd have an idea that people
are literally tired of playing Loki
him.
in casual conquest.
Okay.
They're like, now we're not playing him anymore. It's too boring. It's just a try hard, I guess in a way, try hard ranked strat when you don't trust your teammates. I just put B, just put him at B and be done with it. Just not having to think about him anymore.
So Medusa. Okay, so Medusa is A, but she has the potential to be A+ with the new patch.
Let's put an A+ already. I think she's definitely got more. Yeah, she's okay, already been
she
picked a lot.
She got buffed with her 1 as well, right? She has 4 shots now. She's a really influential ult. The dash, if you utilize correctly,
because like right now she's already on 10 picks, 4 wins, and then next patch that should be even better because she's gonna be one of the prime guards for Heartseeker with how easy it is to apply with her too. Mercury, the only one that may actually change drastically through Golden Bow.
Oh yeah,
because of his 1. Other than that, he didn't really do much. 3 games played, no wins.
Then you'd probably play him solo, right? Or like ADC even.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to build it in Mercury jungle because you just insta clear anyway.
Yeah, I think ADC is gonna be the way to go. Mercury solo is still a bit, or even more. I guess maybe with Berserker Shield or something. Who knows?
Yes, you could make it work. I would say, I think he's A.
Yeah.
Merc.
Would say he was A- before the buffs that are coming up, but now I'd say he's A.
Sure.
Naja, you said you think he's still going to be very strong, even though he has no more power on his passive. Why is that?
Okay, so like the thing is, Nasha was like really, really good early game. but still potent late game, which is like her big strength, right? Like, yeah, it's like Nasha.
You just triggered the comment section.
Nasha is, I think, in my opinion, Nasha is very potent late game because you can't play up against her. You can't look for like Freya banishes. The ADC can't look for like poke or whatever, you know, or like a tough player can't be looking to poke you out because he's under constant pressure of the Nasha sashing him. And if you get Nasha sash late game, you have to beat, you know? And I think that's why Nasha is so good late still. And in the big scheme of things, like 10 power is not gonna matter late game. I think this really hurt Nasha support, which was a big thing. You could play Nasha support, tons of pressure. Even like Defog was playing Nasha solo and stuff, but I think she is probably in competitive. I'll still rate her S, just because she's still very influential. Like she still has big AoE attacks. The ring toss still does like a lot of damage, you know. I think she's S- now. Though.
Yeah, I was gonna say S- is probably where I would tend to put him because
she's like still really really strong, man. Like what's her pick rate? Like after the nerf?
I think that's pre-nerf still. The nerf hasn't gone through on.
No,
it's the nerf was 5.16.
Okay.
So right now he's got 16 picks, 12 wins, so 75% win rate, 28 bans.
Like that's really good, you know.
Yep.
And is 10 power gonna do that much? Not my opinion,
I think the power is gonna be doing something though, because obviously the movement speed is what still makes him stronger, because the rotation between camps is also very fast if you're jungling. But this early pressure, like I think one big part of the power that was underrated is how much more damage the ult does through it, because the ult, I don't know what the total scaling of the ult is from the top of my head, but it's a lot, especially because some of the attacks are also crits and stuff. So it actually on early ranks, it does make a decent difference.
So my question here is, I agree with you on everything you said, but how much of a difference was it for Nasha's popularity when she got nerfed from 20 power to 10 power in the passive?
Not anything at all. That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, so how much is this going to be if she gets changed from 10 to 0?
I think it's still going to have an impact, harder. But I think it's not an impact to warrant less than S-.
It looks bad, man. It looks really bad, but it isn't bad. Like, trust me, I've been scrimming with it now for some time, and it's still top pick Nasha. I'm still getting Nasha early on.
Okay, S-. Neith.
Yeah. Ooh, next patch, man.
And she's already doing well, actually. 5 picks, 4 wins, so...
Ooh.
I'm gonna... Okay, there's the big deal with Neith, right? With Heartseeker, it's not the pressure in lane or anything, but the fact that if she goes into like a full power pen build, her ult is gonna do stupid amounts of damage.
Yeah.
Like across the map. You see someone on 25% health and you're like, all right, I can get that. And that's dirty. And I think that's gonna be... I think it's gonna be very, very impactful. I think it's gonna push Neith really high.
Okay, so I want to say that I think next patch is going to be A+ with the potential to go higher.
Yeah, I would.
I still need it proved before I put her in. Like
I would have put S-, but I'm down for A+, and then say let's see how she goes from there. But I can actually
she's still killable. At the end of the day, you can still kill a Neith very easily.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the bad thing about it. Like if she had a faster escape, but like not the backflip, you know, she'd be way better.
The strat is just to sit on the tower and then get 5 stacks up and ult someone and then wait a minute, you know, every single time.
Okay, so Nem.
Oh
man, this guy just fell off really hard. I don't think Nem is good at all.
Nope. But
I think she's very bad.
How low would you go? Would you go down to
in competitive? I'd say C, but I don't like that. She's not like, at the end of the day, you can still build Hel, Case, and Katana. You can run around and like still but the ult is just like really underwhelming now, in my opinion. Yeah,
she just got too many nerfs, in my opinion. I think it's like at some point it was too much. I'd say B here because I don't think she's like worse than the gods in B, but I also don't think she's better. I don't think she's like a Willish kind of level or Kali kind of level. Just no reason to pick her. And she was picked a bit in competitive, but she lost every game. Three games all lost. So.
Yeah, I don't know why you picked them. No. It just seems bad.
Nike.
1,000,000%
win rate in ranked as usual. I don't know how much it is right now, but
the most busted god. She's the goddess of victory after all, but it would be weird if she wasn't the highest win rate. Yeah. Maybe they just fixed it.
Oh no, she's not the highest anymore, but she's still up there.
Really?
Yeah, I think the highest. I don't know what it was.
Oh, it's Poseidon, right?
Poseidon.
But that's because he bugged and everyone was just abusing the bug.
But was she second? I think she was actually third.
It's just third because Becca was
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
Okay, and then Abraxas, same win rate.
Yeah.
Nah, she's not that good. I mean,
She was
I
picked
just-
like in competitive as well. 2 games, 1 win.
Yeah, she was.
So like, she's there, but I think she's just a candidate for A.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well.
Yeah, for A.
A is just fine with me. Just a very average card.
Quick and painless. Nox.
Okay, so I see Nox getting played a lot in support right now.
Mhm.
I think that is most scenarios not very good right now.
It's awkward.
Yeah, it is because you need like 2 frontliners kind of with it, right? Because you're playing the same role of like a Baron or like support or like a health support, and with that you need like 2 people to be able to stand in front of you.
Yeah.
And with the jungle meta where you're returning more towards like assassins, right? Like the old assassins out of like Bacchus, you have like Raven, you have like Camazotz, Mercury, them kind of gods are way more viable right now than like building tanky, at least on some gods. I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself here because like Serqet and Rat, which we haven't gotten to yet, are still very, very strong. But I think they're more flankers, right? I think the term assassin is kind of poor because it doesn't like you have like gods that
and
are
never
flankers,
did
right?
justice to the assassins in Smite though. Like,
Yeah,
there were never assassins except Loki and a few others.
yeah. I think flanker is a better word. And if you're playing a flank kind of god, you're not staying in front of your team, and then it's up to a soul laner to like tank damage while you're souling the backline, which you can't really do too hard. Like, it's just awkward.
Yeah.
I think she's overvalued. I think she's A. I still think she's good,
Yep.
but I think she's like CC immune old, damage reduction, super strong still, but I think she's overvalued. People probably think she's like A plus as mines, but I
No,
think she's A.
the stats say the same thing as well. Like 5 picks, 2 wins. So it's like not overwhelming in any regard. It's just she's just there, does her job sometimes. Nua. I actually have no idea on this one.
Okay, so like Nua is really, really good against Freya, right? Like Nua is the counter pick to Freya right now, because Freya needs to either Aegis or usually what you're gonna do is you're gonna time the Nua ult. So when Nua goes into there, Freya just loses so much of health. Nua is a broken guard. I think Nua is like Hebo. She's one of the best late game guards in the game, by far, in my opinion. Her ult does crazy amount of damage with the new Soul Reaver as well. You have Soul Gem. She does she hits insanely hard. The problem with her as well is where do you put her? You don't really want Nua mid because she's just kind of bad early on.
Yep.
You did we played on Energy. We had great success in playing Nua and ADC, but now it's pressure. And Nua is like you don't want the Nua at level 1, man. Like, I don't know. I think Nua, in my opinion, is probably A-, but I think the only reason why I'd put an A- is because she has this late game that's always going to be potent. Like, you're always going to do stuff late game with Nua, Then the question is, can you get there? And most of the time you can't, which is kind of the same problem Hebo has, but Hebo is just, he's a better god overall, and he has an easier time getting there, but I don't think Nua, is as good as Hebo, and she's her ult is the only thing that she's really got going for her. But it's insane. Her ult is really goddamn good late game.
Yep. Do you think that would justify an A, or do you think it's still just A-?
I'm down to putting an A, but I'm also very biased because I think, obviously, with playing with Nua, I think she's this super broken god, right? Like, what we did against Obey when we beat Obey is they played Freya, right? We played Nua ADC, we played Amaterasu support, so we kind of made up for not having pressure on duo with the Armor support.
Yep.
And I would dash at Prime, who is playing Freya mid, and I would ult, and with Nua's ult, Prime would be at 15% health after my ult and the Nua ult hit him. And he couldn't do anything in all those fights.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up getting MVP that game, because apparently I was zoning the whole game, and I was creating a lot of space, but the only reason why I could do that is because Nua ulted.
Yeah.
Every single time I got a double ult on the backline and Nua ulted. And they had to use their ults, the Rama, and it was the Rama and it was the Freya, and I think, sure, I'm fine with it.
All right.
Long story, but...
That's good. Hey, and yeah, stat-wise, same thing, obviously. 3 games played, 2 games won. So that's why I was asking about A, because I think, the stats plays a bit higher. Odin was actually picked quite a bit. 4 picks, 4 picks, 2 wins. Not bad.
I don't think
11
Odin's
bans.
bad at all. Yeah, I don't think Odin, like, again, I think the ban rate really tells where Odin is at, right?
Is
like,
this, do you think this is a Samdi thing? Or
sure,
it's more than
sure,
that?
it could be. Sure, it could be. Definitely good against Baron. But look at our tier list right now. Does pretty goddamn well against a lot of the gods out there. You know?
Chern, Athena,
you see
all of them. Yeah, Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
Even Erlang, like not for trading purposes.
No, but like look at A plus, right? Like the vast majority of the gods in A plus don't have jumps, right?
Yep.
And like a lot of the lower gods have like jumps and ways to like escape the cage. I think he does very well, but I don't think you can just third pick an Odin and be successful. You need to fourth or fifth pick the Odin in competitive at least, and that's why you see him get banned so often. He has 11 bans. But I would bet you that all of those 11 bans is happening in the second ban phase after a team would pick like Baron Sandy and just want to make sure that Odin is not on the table, because then Baron can actually get countered in lane.
Yeah.
Or you last pick a healer, maybe you're playing Ra, maybe you're picking like a cheesy Hel or Afro or something, and you want to ban Odin, you know?
Yeah. Does that put him in A or an A plus?
I think it puts him in A plus because he's this constant threat. And he's not a bad guard at all. His slow is really good. His ult is really good. One thing you have to realize as well is he has attack speed reduction, which also might be really, really good. Like, look at a lot of the guards. It's like guards that have attack speed. You have Bacchus, you have Erlang, Freya, Anher, Nasha. Like, all guards that actually have attack speed and kind of depend on their basic attacks more than other guards in their roles.
Yep. And talking about basic attacks, Osiris.
Chop, 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 chop.
He's going to chop a lot more now with Berserker's Shield.
It definitely is going to... Do you remember that time where Osiris was just like first pick all the time and he was really, really good? I don't think we're going to get quite back to that, but I think we'll get some games where he's just going to be insane.
Yeah. I think he, like, talking about like benefit from items, I think he's not quite on the level of Erlang in terms of how much better Berserker's Shield makes him.
Yeah.
But I think it still helps him so much to win back that bully lane presence. He's also still good because he has that anti-hit on his ultimate. And yeah, that's all he really does and all he really needs.
Okay, so I think Osiris is A, but I think that if we're going to see the meta develop towards like very heavy, like I need to win solo lane, then he's going to be way higher because he's one of them guys who just wins your solo lane, right?
Would you put him on the same level as Bellona right now or slightly higher?
Same level as Bellona right now, in my opinion.
Then let's put him
I think the ult kind of does the same thing, right?
Yeah. All right.
They're very similar in what they do.
Yeah. Poseidon has had a bit of a field day, but not so much anymore, apparently.
Yeah, like he's bugged, man. People are just farming on him, you know. The one is like, you're like trying to duke it and you get it anyway. Like, what's happening, man? I don't know. I think he, like, long story short, to me, he's just an A guard, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think he's A minus. I don't think he's A plus. I think he's very average mates that has his niche, like compositions where he'll do very well, and he also gets countered fairly easily.
Yeah, straightforward. And Ra?
Same page for me.
Yep, good. Okay, enough said. I was gonna say, like, can we just do the same thing here?
Everyone knows what Ra does. There's not much to talk about. He's one of the oldest gardens. Raging, man, he is very good right now, in my opinion.
I heard. I haven't seen it, but I heard. I think
he's very strong. He does really, really well with the new items. Book of Tough, well, not the new, but like Book of Tough, whatever the other book that gives you mana, health, and he does Spear Magus, Gem of Isolation. He's really good. I'm tempted to put him as minus, but I'm fine with A plus as well. He's really, really good against a lot of like the immobile guards, and that's a really big benefit for him. And also another guy that I think is really good right now is Morrigan. He's also really good against Morrigan. Obviously, I don't know how highly valued Morrigan is at a casual level.
She's everywhere.
Okay.
I would still tend to put him in A. In A plus, I mean. Just going by his performance, like he's got 8 picks, 3 wins, so it's not bad, but it's not the best. And I think he's gonna struggle a little bit, like with other mid laners coming up that will have pressure being hunters.
Okay, I can see that, but I still think he's a better guard than Ra.
Yeah, for sure.
Janus.
Yeah,
he does more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so A+. Ram. The Rama. Man.
He's been picked a lot, and he's been doing decently.
He's really good, man. Dual lane pressure, man. That's what it is. And then Rama kind of goes into the air, and people are really good at playing around the Ram. If you have a Ram on your team, it's hard to play against that stuff, man.
Yeah. I think again, like the biggest issue for him is gonna be Heartseeker next patch because he doesn't really benefit from that.
Sure.
But outside of that, everything's fine for him.
I think he's S-.
Yeah, enough of that.
Enough.
And Ratatoskr, I would put him right behind Ram there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, Heartseeker, maybe. He's one of the few guards that actually can utilize
I mean, for him, nothing really changes in that regard because he could build it beforehand.
That is a very good point.
But I think it's just, the fact that he's doing so well with Bruther items at the moment. I don't even know why. What changed for him, like, that made him feel so much better that, Hi-Rez even feels the need to nerf him now.
Oh, really?
Oh, maybe that should be factored in. Maybe he's more like A+ now. Because he's getting a little bit more cooldown on his ultimate.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Actually, yeah, let's move him down to A+. Because obviously that global presence is a very strong suit of his. Stat-wise also, like, he has 14 games played, 13 bans, 42% win rate, not the best, but I think he's still very, very strong overall.
Yep.
And Raven. Tell me about Raven because I really haven't played him much since his changes.
Okay, so so at the start of season 5, the jungle meta was very much to play Daji, Ravana, and Camazotz, those I'll kill you and I'll survive doing it gods. That do a lot of damage. They have pretty good early games. They have a high control and high mobility. High damage, right? Kind of everything you want from this flank assassin, whatever you want to call it, a position. And I think Ravana went more into a bruisery build, whereas Camazotz kind of fell off because he didn't do too well with tank items. But Ravana always did well with tank items because, he was classified as a warrior. Now he got base stat changes, and seeing the meta kind of changed into more tanky warriors, and then now the meta is kind of changing more into, like, in my opinion at least, it's going kind of more back to more raw damage, and he does that very well. He's super strong. He's very good against those immobile guards. He's very good at boxing, especially hunters. I think he does very well at boxing against, like, hunters. And if you're gonna see way more hunters now, especially mobile hunters like Neith and Medusa, like that's like breakfast, for Ravana. Ravana does very well against those guards. He'll go in, he'll blink on them, he'll force a dash ult after them, and you can't really out-trade a Ravana when you get to that point. Yep. So I think Ravana is in a really, really good spot right now. I would say he's A+. I think as a guard, as a kit, he's just A. But with the way that the other guards are ranked right now, and the way what he does well against and what Ravana does poorly against, I think he's A+ in my opinion.
Right, A+ it is. Scylla? It's probably not A+.
She's so weird, man. Nah, she's weird. I think she's A- again. I think she has the potential to be way higher if you're a good Scylla player, but I don't see a lot of good Scylla players. Yeah. And I think the guard is pretty weak.
She's actually been doing decently in the SPL. 3 games, really? 2 wins. So out of the games where she's picked, where somebody's confident enough in picking her, she does well, but that has to be the case first.
And I really like this thing we made with A-, like more defining it as like it's not necessarily worse than being like A. It's just that you have to be really good at the guard, and it's like way less often you see the guard. I kind of like that instead of just throwing everything in A, maybe moving a few of the guards up to from B up to A-.
So what you're saying is we should put everything A- into A instead and have a very large.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Serqet. Not A. Definitely not A-.
Nah, she's really good, man. She's got nerfed so much, and she just keeps doing work. Like, she's getting...
It's the true damage.
Her pick rate in SPL is really high as well, right?
It's the true damage. Yeah, pick rate right now, 11 picks, 20 bans, 8 wins. Like, stupid good stats. And it's like, I know that Hi-Rez was considering to, like, change her damage from all over to physical at some point to combat the tank builds that were working too well on her. but didn't go through it with it because they said that the damage values would just have to be like completely absurd for it to like come close to a current ult in terms of physical damage. So now we're back to the true damage, or still with the true damage, and it's just so good.
she was bugged as well. She did too little damage, and they changed it now.
Oh, I didn't even know
that. She takes for like 10 less damage at like level 1, and then progressively scaled until she finally at level 5. She had her like level 5 ult. She had her real damage.
I mean, no one even seemed to care enough because she was still good anyways. Nope. I think the other big deal with her, and maybe that's what eventually gets tackled as well, is the fact that on top of the true damage, she also has the anti-heal, which really is a lot for one god.
Healing is really good right now. Like, look at the gods right here, like on our tier list. Like, self-healing is seems to be a very prominent factor. The ability to sustain. Athena can ult back in, Chernobog can ult back in, he has life shield, Baron has healing, Apuk has healing, and her has like, well, he might be the only one that doesn't have like real healing besides anti-heal. Freya has like base healing, Amaterasu can swap stance, Artemis can heal really fast, Bakasura has minion, Cerberus has his passive, Colin is always gonna have like a health chalice or something.
Plus his anti-heal himself as well, so.
Exactly, if Nasha has a self-heal, Rama can heal really fast, Achilles has a heal.
No, like, I think we get the point.
Sure, but like the thing is, like all them gods, they have self-healing, and I think that's a very prominent stat, and it also just makes anti-healing such a valuable thing, and I think that makes the cat. I would even say yes.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I mean, looking at the other gods in S, I think she could fit that. Definitely with the potential to drop down, like thinking of, for example, getting Heartseeker shot by a Neith, that could hurt if you're not building into enough tank items.
Yeah.
So maybe she's not gonna stay there, but for now I think she says.
Okay.
Skadi got a little bit of a buff recently. Also has.
I don't think. Okay, Heartseeker.
Yeah, I was gonna say that hasn't been picked, but is now getting the Heartseeker buff as well. But how much is it gonna do outside? Like, actually, in ranked, she's apparently been performing very well. So maybe something to keep in mind as well.
Okay, so I would put on B, but with the changes to Heartseeker and the whole argument of like, if a good Skadi player is still going to be very threatening, I would be fine with putting her in A-.
Yeah.
Because I think she's better than Serqet.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't think she's going to be better than like Chiron, Hachiman, Hoi, them kind of gods.
Yeah, I agree. Sobek. The interesting question about Sobek. I know that he's been picked a lot, but is he exclusively picked, or where is he picked?
Okay, so I think Sobek mainly does well in the soul lane. However, I think he's very undervalued as a support pick. But the reason why you probably see Sobek more than anything in the soul lane is just because Sobek does really well from ahead, right? By default, he has one of the lowest health pools of all guardians. His base stats is not that good compared to other guardians, so really getting ahead and getting items online is a big deal. Sobek is the hardest counter to Baron Samedi in the game right now. You can block the ult with your own ult, you just kind of smack into it on purpose. You pull him, you control him, you anti-heal him. Sobek does super, super well against Baron, which we have to take into account as well. I think Sobek is very underrated. The Blink Sobek gimmick is even at the pro level, you see we lose SPL games. Like we lost an SPL game because we weren't fast enough on our beats triggers on the Blink Sobek pull. Sobek is very highly contested and competitive, at least, and I think the reasoning that he can play it in both roles as well. From a competitive standpoint, I'd put Sobek in S. I'd be fine putting him in S- as well, but I definitely think he's like around that.
Yeah, I agree with S here, just from the standpoint of how much he's picked in competitive, like 22 picks, 14 wins, so still a 63% win rate, and sometimes it just takes a while longer for ranked or casual to catch on with stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it's gonna happen eventually, and I'm looking forward to more Sobek support. That's what I really want to see.
He's a great support. He's very fun to play. I like him.
He was actually one of the first supports that I played frequently because I enjoyed him so much. I always hated playing him in solo because, the early laning phase isn't the most fun, but as a support.
No, not at all. It's boring. Solo lane is boring people, man. Sorry to say, that's just how it is. Like, either like as a personality wise, either solo lane is like very, very aggressive, or they're just very boring people. That's how I feel.
Talking about
either you just want to box, you just want to chill.
Yeah, you just want to slap each other in the face for an hour and no one ever dies, but that's what soul lane is. Sol. 4 picks, 3 wins. Didn't know that.
She's good, man. She's really good, but I think, I don't know, like I'll just smack her an A+ and be done with it, because she high ablative damage, high pressure, really potent throughout all the game, that mitigation, but then again, she's not that good. But she's still good.
Sun Wukong is getting a lot of buffs, and that's something we should factor in.
Man.
He's getting
Wukong's
minion
fault
damage
now,
increased by 5% on the Cudgel. He's getting 2-second cooldown reduction on the 2, and the Ox form gets extra damage as well. Like, he gets so much extra damage. Or has
gonna hurt.
He's gonna hurt, but the problem is that he still struggles against AA bullies that now all have Berserker Shield. And that's awkward.
It's smart by Hyris that they buff him now that AA guards are like gonna be prominent, you know?
Yeah.
Then that's actually not gonna be complete garbage. So Wukong's gimmick is that he is able to be annoying to your backline, but if he does that much damage that he's able to be annoying and actually threaten to kill you, that's gonna make him a lot better.
But keep in mind that the damage, the kill potential itself, at later stages of the game wasn't increased by much, because the 1 is minion damage, the 3 is just early stages damage on the Ox only. So the only thing that will effectively increase the damage is the cooldown reduction on the Master's Will, but that's still on a cooldown, so you still have to get it off twice to get any benefit out of it.
Okay, so I think right now, he's A+, but I think with the argument of Berserker Shield, I can definitely see him being an A, just because he'll struggle.
I think he could have, like, if it wasn't for Berserker Shield, I think he could have actually gone higher than A+, because he would have really bullied a lot of people out of lane. But there's just so many gods that can bully as well now, so A is where it is. Susano. Matana. I don't know, man. Susano's weird.
He's like really good, and then he's like really bad.
Yeah. And like Susano's one of these gods where not much has to happen for that to be the case. Like any tiny change and he's suddenly there or not there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can see like some crazy mechanical skilled players gonna like frag on them, and then you have the XX numbers guy that's just like, I don't know, he's like 1 in 14, you know?
Yeah.
Not AA cancelling, like always missing his ult, you know? Oh man. I want to say, I think at like if played really really well, he's probably like S- A+, but I just don't think that the average player has, like, he's very mechanical guard Susano.
Yeah, and not even just the average player. At least in the SPL, 2 picks, no wins. So
yeah,
even
so I think he's A.
Yeah.
I think he's A. I think it's a good guard. It's not. I think it's definitely better than like Wilix and Callie, but I don't see it really competing with Rat and Ravana and Bats and those kind of guards.
He has what is in his favor is that he does decently against many other squishier assassins that are like higher tier as well, like the squishier junglers, because he can burst relatively quickly, and he also doesn't have the worst time against Morrigan, so that's something that helps.
Sylvanus, man. Okay, so Sylvanus is really, really good for pressure. Man, but I think he's S- Sylvanus right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think the pressure is so important, and the thing is, Sylvanus from ahead is great, right? And Sylvanus from behind is just really bad.
Yeah.
Like Sylvanus, either you're gonna frag or you're gonna get fragged. There's no middle ground really, and if it gets to that middle ground, you're just kind of gonna lose regardless. But with pressure, at least in competitive being so prominent, I think he's really, really valuable right now.
So far, his stats are indicating that he's, like, by most teams not that valued. He's on 3 picks, 1 win, 4 bans.
Okay.
Okay. I think based on the points you made as well, and looking at the other guards in S-, I would lean more towards A+.
Okay.
Because I feel like he doesn't, like, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
He's not quite the Amaterasu, basically.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Well, I would say that, like, looking at A+, I would probably put him, like, above Khepri at the same time within A+.
Sylvanus is the only counter to Amaterasu in lane, I want to mention.
All right.
Sylvanus actually is the only guard that can contest pressure against Amy in most scenarios because his passive works so well against Summer. You pop upgrade a spend and you get rooted. It's sad life for Amaterasu players.
I felt my fair share of pain when I played Bakasura against Sylvanus. Terra is nasty. And she's been for a
I
while
love
now.
Terra.
Yeah, like nasty,
great,
nasty in
man.
a good way. Like 17 picks, 11 wins, 7 bans, and her ult is still just as strong as ever.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a Terra ult nerf. Like, soon.
More? That's a bit flat damage then. They can't touch the percent anymore, man. You make like 2.5%, it's fucking...
I mean, with the stats that she has, while being like, I don't know, she's just like, she just does a lot well. I know you don't, you would not want another nerf. I don't want it. I'm saying I'm expecting it.
So I'm a really big Terra player. I love Terra. I actually underestimate the amount of damage I do. A lot of the time I'm like, oh, I should have ulted there because then I would have killed him. The thing about Terra is she's easy to learn, but she's super hard to master. I think Terra is one of the mechanically hardest cards in the game. The way you can play around the walls, the way you can block people with the walls. I think she takes so much skill at a high level. However, I think she's also really, really good. If you don't like try and do all the fancy stuff, she's still a very solid guard.
Yep.
I think she's borderline S-.
No,
but
I'm down for S-, actually.
I don't know, but like, yeah, sure. But seeing the guards that are like also in S right now, you have Sobek, you have Apuk, you have like Serqet, right? Which are guards that all do very well against Terra. S. But they all do very well against Terra, right? Like, and it's also picks that goes through. Like, they're not gonna get banned. Like, you're still gonna see a Puck and see. Like, you can't ban the Puck, you can't ban the Serqet, and you can't ban the Sobek. So, like Serb, like, there's a lot of guards in the meta that do well against Terra, in my opinion. And I think she's A+ from a competitive standpoint.
Okay.
But I'm very biased honestly, because I think Terra's great, but I mean, I don't know. It's
I'm just saying the stats would definitely support S- as well, just for performance in competitive so far.
Okay.
The argument.
What do you feel about her in casual?
That's what I was gonna say. The argument that I would make would be more leaning towards the fact that in casual, like you said, most players aren't that mechanically skilled with Terra that they pull off her full potential, and that's maybe where the A+ comes in. But at the same time, we were considering to put put Sylvanus into S-, and under that aspect, I would say she could still be S-.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with putting her in S-.
Like somewhere in between here, really depending with Terra, very much depending on who plays her against who. Like, yeah, that really defines her more than other gods.
Okay.
Thanatos.
The toast.
Let's make this one quick. A-.
You think so? I think he's A.
Or A, yeah, whichever. Like, he's just there. Execute is nice. Yeah. He does his thing. He's average. He can build tanky, which is nice, I guess.
Yeah, he's one of the actually like proper assassins where you can actually build tanky, you know?
Yeah. Morrigan is not A. She's way up. Oh, love seeing Morrigan every day, all day. 11 games played, 9 wins.
Yeah, she's crazy, man. She's I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to put an S+ because I think that a lot of the gods in the highest like meta picks right now do well against Morrigan. Puck does well against Morrigan. Athena's pretty good against Morrigan. You can instant taunt. Serqet is very known to be good against Morrigan. You have those kind of guards that do very well against Morrigan. That's always going to be in the game. But then you flip it around and you say, well, Athena is actually also good for the Morrigan. Serqet is also good for the Morrigan, you know, and a Puck arguably is also good for the Morrigan.
Yep.
Morrigan is also really, really strong right now because you can start in the mid lane and not just start on speed and go and invade the first red buff because you just have that much push power. The buff to a 2 definitely helped her a lot because now you can just 2 and you can leave the lane to farm, whereas before you'd have to basic attacks a few more times and then it was too late to go and farm your back.
I mean, it's actually crazy that they just straight up like doubled the damage of the 2. It's just like out of nowhere, and this in combination with the fact that she works incredibly well with it's Bamba's mask, movement speed, Bamba's mask, as well. Mask it's just like everything she wants, you know, extra CDR and the movement speed to roam even faster, and then she doesn't care about the downsides of the items because she can always transform anyways. It's just everything falls into place for her at the moment, and it's scary.
And you know what? There's 2 big reasons why Morrigan isn't SS. The first thing is Morrigan has a very, very hard time at sieging. So you need to have a good composition around sieging towers and not towers, but he's good at sieging towers because she can flank. But at Phoenixes, she can't flank. she's pretty hard. Like you can send your jungler over, and the jungler can most likely 1v1 Morrigan, or like at least stallmate late game. Morrigan is gonna have a hard time. And the other reason why she's not like SS is because she's unreliable. Like Morrigan sadly still has a few bugs. Like we still see that 3 or 4 bugs got changed, and you still see people that can't ult. You still see people that get stuck in some weird thing. Like she's just unreliable, and it's like at least as us for a team, right? Yaman had this Morrigan game last year in SPL, and he's like very frightened to pick her because he couldn't ult. Like he'd transform, and then he like couldn't. He was trying to fold, right? And he just couldn't do it because it was a bug, right? So
that's not even the worst one. The worst one is that you could literally get executed when transforming.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh yeah, well you're dead.
it's rough, man.
So
I think she's S.
Yeah, S. Okay.
With potential to be higher if he gets fixed a bit. But also, actually, a point that can be made is that guards like Bellona, Osiris, and Erlang should be guards that also do better against Mori. Fairly, like, Osiris tracks her down with the free, right? Bellona can like instantly get out of the transformation, or not the transformation, the free with her Bellona's free. And what's his name? Erlang also can very easily catch the Morrigan self with his second ability.
What can be mentioned here, by the way, is if you're versing a Kali, she is SS right now, because the moment you turn into Kali glitches out. So that's fun.
Really?
And duel, you can
What
literally
happens?
not do anything. Like,
yeah.
So that's a bit stupid. Morrigan bugs, always a nice story.
Damn.
Thor. Not so bugged. Used to have a lot of bugs, but not so much anymore.
He was very, very average for a long time, and now he just feels like he's below average. I'll just plop an A minus, man.
Yeah. Done.
You look, he's not like better than Dali, Susano, Thanatos, or Mercury.
He's got 1 win in competitive, actually. 1 game, 1 win, but I feel like that's more of a fluke thing. I don't. Like,
yeah, I think
especially like, for me, the point is
right?
always like you have Ratatoskr, and the only situation where Thor really outshines Ratatoskr drastically is when you need like a lot of range poke, or you need the teleport to get out of like an Odin cage or something. In any other situation, you just prefer Rat, and that's weird. Thoth, 8 picks, 1 win.
T-Bird. Okay, yeah. He does not, like, he was very, very highly valued at like the end of the Summerland and like Summer Split, and he just seemed to like fell off now, because now, and I think more so because people are gonna start playing pressure against him. And if you can punish the Tough early on and like really like play up in his face for the first 10 levels, you're at a great spot, right?
Yeah.
Because Tough is Tough is the best when it comes to sieging, right? He's one of the best guards in the game for sieging, because you can just constantly poke from a distance, and you're very, very safe doing so. But you actually need to get to that point. And he's a good mid laner, right? But he's not that hard to kill if you like get him caught out of position. And yeah, I don't know, man. Like the stats kind of speaks for themselves as well. I don't think he's that good. I would even go down placing him in A, even though I think he's a good guard, but he doesn't fit right now. It's kind of weird, but he just doesn't fit. But he's definitely still a really, really good guard, but he just doesn't fit.
It's funny because like for a while when the major item changes came, like it looked like he was gonna be really ugly as well, like proccing Soul Gem on like whatever range and stuff like that. But it's just not paying off at the moment in the current meta. But yeah, I'm down for A.
Yeah, big thing is he got the nerf to his free as well, that it can't proc abilities fix. Definitely hurt him a lot.
Yeah,
like,
though on the other hand, I'm still kind of
like
glad that fix was made, because it was a bit stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course. It's like really good that you just don't get slapped and you get like soul revert, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Tyr. It's like
Tyr.
The other Hercules, but not even picked.
Yeah. I mean, I think Tyr has more potential than Hercules, though.
Oh, why?
CCR, like his passive is super strong. He's going to be one of the very few guards that can actually be able to like deal with the pressures that the A soul laners are going to bring, just because of his sustain.
True. And always been a counter to Bellona anyways. So
exactly, and he sets up for very easy ganks, right, from the jungle most of the times. And what you see from a lot of those like the very aggressive warriors, he still just use their ults to poke and bully, right? You'll see like Erlang just ult to like bully, you know, and out trade. You'll see like Bellona just ult to like out trade most of the time in Sol lane, at least from the Bellona players I know and I've watched. You'll like trade ults, right? Like the Bellona will ult and the Osiris will ult on top of each other, and it's like no one hits each other, but they'll like trade ults like that. And I think Tyr does pretty well against that, right? Like I think he's A in my opinion, but he has better potential to actually be a counter pick. I don't know if he will be, or people will just like surpass it completely. But at the same time, like good Tyr players are also really good, and bad Tyr players are also like really rough on Tyr.
Yeah. Good bad players. This used to be true for Ullr once upon a time as well. Now it's a bit more everyone.
Doesn't even matter if you like miss a few.
Yeah, it's just spam away. Also, again, gonna benefit from Heartseeker buff for sure. Maybe gives him that like one-shot combo potential back a little bit more.
Yeah, the Ullr mid, right? Are you gonna play? Is he just minus man?
Ooh, are you gonna? I mean, looking at the stats, it would be justifiable. He's got five games, 3 wins right now, 60% win rate.
Like, of course, seeing with the Heartseeker.
Yeah, factoring in the Heartseeker. Yeah, sure, I can see it.
I think he's gonna be better than like Jingwei.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna be at the notch above like Medusa. Maybe not Neith. But then again, like Ullr has been proven very recently as a very good god, where we haven't seen Neith for like a long while. You know, I'm thinking season 3 World Championships where Neith mid was like played.
True,
like, but that's so long ago.
Like,
you know?
like Ullr was like a good god beforehand, basically like was like A+ beforehand maybe, and this item change brings him maybe to S-. Whereas Neith was like non-existent beforehand and gets smacked up to A+ because of this item. So definitely justifiable. No, for my favorite god at the moment.
Really?
Yeah. I love playing him, and when the enemies don't build anti-heal, it's the most fun thing in the world, and when they do it, then I get depressed.
You just feel useless, right?
Huh? I mean...
You just feel useless if they build anti-heal.
I wouldn't say so. I think that the big deal with Vamana is he's not a solo laner anymore. People play him as a solo laner, he's a jungler all the way.
Yeah, definitely.
And... I think the thing is that, I don't know, some people just build him like full ability and stuff, and that doesn't really work for him. But like, Bruiser builds that only really have like Haste and Katana as your core damage and Ninja Tarai, like for more attack speed. They work better than a lot of people think. I mean, obviously, again, he's still a god that can be countered very well with anti-heal. But also just the fact that you can walk around and CC immunity for so long is actually stupid.
Okay, so... with that, like, I think it's right that he's a jungler. I think he's A-, and it's like every other god in A- kind of like, at least the majority, like they have the potential to be higher. Like I'm sure that you can play Vamana and you can stomp if you have a good build in the jungle. Like I know, like Ice Ice Baby, Captain Twig, they both love playing Vamana jungle, right? Like they'll do work, and they'll build like, not Bruiser, they'll be like Slippery more than anything, right? They'll build a ton of movement speed and attack speed. Yeah. Kind of like Bakasura almost, right? You'll throw in a Magi's, maybe you go like tank.
Yeah, no, he literally, katana, like what I'm saying is like right now, he literally plays like a better Kali, honestly. Because depending on how you build, you obviously have the choice to just have like, you can build the whole katana tree if you want. And you still get a bunch of protections, a bunch of movement speed, and okay, it changes now. Like, you wouldn't build Heartseeker before anyways, but like the rest of it. And then, but you can like throw in ahead of the Urchin to be a bit more tanky, or throw in like a Midgardian Mail against Hunters or whatever, depending on the game. And other than that, you just do what a Kali does. You just run over the enemy team, and then you ult and run over them even more. Only that your ult lasts longer, makes you CC immune. So I absolutely agree with A-. So like it has to work for you, and it has to be in the right situation. It's just my favorite. Vulcan is not my favorite because he's so annoying to play against.
Yeah, his skin is D, man. The Chef Vulcan skin is disappointing.
Really? You don't like it?
The animations on the tomato sauce is like horrible, man.
Yeah, okay.
I think it looks really bad.
No, I like it for the voice line still on the skin itself.
Yeah, the voice lines, the pizza thing, he spins around, super cool and all, but man, I don't know.
You just disappointed with the sauce.
Yeah.
But everyone is playing him because of the skin, and it's like so frustrating because there's Vulcan everywhere. But at the same time, I don't think he's a strong pick either. So
I think he's more with like on level with like ice, with the god of demonetization and that stuff.
With
than,
ice,
like, he is
ice
with,
baby. Yeah, A minus.
and
Yeah.
stuff, you know.
Yeah. Xbalanque.
Xbalanque. He's gonna get even more hurt by Heartseeker, man. As if he
and
was,
he's not
like,
doing well already.
Nah, he has his old man, and that's kind of it. Like he has good potential, but he just people keep playing him and they keep losing with him. At least what I see from like competitive standpoint.
Yep, three
Like,
games played, one win. So
yeah,
not really anything.
A minus. I don't think he's B. I think he's A minus though, because his soul is still very good.
Yeah. Xingtian.
Xing is gonna be better next patch, because he's one of the guards that also actually can lane against the AA based warriors. And on top of that, he does very well against ADCs in particular. And if you're gonna see more, let's say you put like a Neith in mid, and then you're gonna have to, if maybe like you'll put a Sol or a Chronos or Freya in ADC, or you might play double Hunter or something. He's gonna be good, man.
Yep.
He actually is one of the few guards, as I mentioned, that do well. He's a notorious countermeasure from into Bellona. Erlang as well does pretty goddamn well. I guess he kind of gets slapped by Osiris, but he's pretty good against all those guards. Like more than the average Guardian solo you can play. So I think he's gonna be better next patch. I think he's A minus still with the potential to go into A, but I think he'll C play.
I like the prediction. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I hope it happens. I love Xingtian, so.
Yeah, it's just his ult is just long, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Ymir. I mean, like you already mentioned, he can do the same thing with Samdi with the wall, so I guess that's a point for Ymir, but does he have many other points?
Man, like for me, Ymir's like C, because I never play him, but I know he's not C. Ymir, a good Ymir player can like wreak havoc, you know? But I never see Ymir anymore, really.
And competitive reflects that as well, like one pick, one loss, one ban, that's it.
Yeah. I'd be down to putting him in A minus, but I think with the changes to AA based warriors especially, he'll die a lot more. He's gonna get farmed. He can't really do anything if a Bellona like an Osiris decides to run you down on Erlang. Those are like, they just kind of kill you, man. Like Ymir will do better against those Guardian solos where you can like wall them off and stuff.
Alright, so
like,
A minus with a
really
tendency to go towards B.
Yeah, sure. I think that's fine.
Zeus.
Okay, so I've talked a lot about Zeus. And now we finally got here. He's insane, man. He does so much damage. It's absolutely... And one of the really big things...
By the way, just throwing out that you just sound like a person playing like Smite for the first time right now. Like, Zeus is so insane, so much damage. You can't counter him, dude.
Yeah, you can't, man. His chain lightning, like... Oh man, Soul Reaver, and you're dead, you know?
He also got a buff to his ult not too long ago, right?
He did.
Why do you think he's not being played in competitive at all so far?
I think it's fear more than anything, right? It's like you need to be good at playing around the Zeus. You need to be really good at protecting him. Whereas like before, people would play Discordia, they'd play Janus, they'd play Tough, they'd have a lot of self-peel, Sol and those kind of guards. You'd be really hard to kill as a mage. Now we see a Swift to much more like immobile mages, in my opinion. We see more Perk, we see more Zeus. We're gonna see there might even be like a third god, you know, like there's an immobile mage that'll come back. Who knows who, you know? I see Vulcan actually get some play as well, at least in scrims. But I think immobile mages do so much damage, and people are like really starting to realize that, at least in competitive. And I think Zeus is insane. Like, I don't know, man. I just think he's really, really good. The only real downside to him is that it's hard itemization wise right now, because you can't really start Book of Tough. You really want boots fast. So like a lot of people will rush rush boots on them, and like get an early boots on the like your first back. So that's what he kind of is going against him. But I mean, I can understand from a community aspect that I'm gonna seem crazy for wanting to place him in S minus with like S tendencies, and I'm fine with putting him in A plus as well. But I just want people to know that like Zeus is coming to stay, man. Unless he gets nerfed. And
do you think the same under like factoring in that he might be facing a lot of hunters in middle lane that have a lot of pressure even against him?
Yeah, with the way you itemize Zeus right now, I think he's gonna do fine against the hunters.
Right.
Hunters do very well if you like either like you don't have good clear, which Zeus has, but then you can punish them while they're clearing, and sure you can punish Zeus, but if Zeus is gonna have boots before you because you want to rush Transcendence, so you're gonna rush Devour's Gauntlet, right? You can't really run him down, and like if you're in a 1v1 scenario, I don't think you want to like try to kill Zeus early on in a 1v1. Like that's not gonna happen, man. Unless you're playing like Anher and you're long range holding him or something.
All right, A+ it is, and we'll see if this prediction works out.
Next time we do this, he's gonna be us. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
All right, it depends on when we do it, I guess.
That's true. The Donger, the
Chang'e
Donger. The last boy standing up here.
He's not standing too well at the moment. 5 games, 1 win.
Yeah, man, he was broken at the summer, and again, he's like one of them guys that just like, ugh. I remember like banning Chang'e, like when I got back home from the LAN and stuff in every ranked game, and now he just seems, I don't know. It's hard with Chang'e, man, because he does very well against like ranked teams and stuff. It's like this, like, because people just like disorganized and get disoriented and stuff and get scared because there's a Chang'e running at you and you're just kind of dying. But I still think he's a good guard, but I think he's definitely fallen off hard compared to what he was a few months ago.
Do you think that the resurgence of Apuash plays into that as well, being able to punish him a fair bit more for self-healing?
Yeah, kinda, yeah, I guess. And I think more than anything, so he's gonna get smacked next patch by like Bellona and Durlang and Osiris. They're gonna farm Chang'e like really hard. Like before, you don't like Chang'e only kind of fitted in solo, right? Like Chang'e's again one of them guards where like he's always gonna be really, really good as a guard by himself. But where do you fit him? Like where do you get him to that stage where he's really good? And then he got protections buffs and stuff like that. Then he got nerfed a bit more, but he's a soul laner. But you'd pick Chang'e, and then you'd like if you played against a Chang'e, you'd want to play something pressure against it, so you can try and like punish him for his like poor early game. And I think that's gonna be even more viable next patch. I still think he's super, super strong. From a competitive perspective, I don't think he's gonna get picked that much.
Just put him in A.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I can understand that people think he's like S- A+, but I just don't think so. Like, then that's because like you're bad at playing against Chang'e, as like rough as it sounds, you know.
Fair enough. I'm down for A. I can absolutely agree with that. And that brings us to the end. We have no one in SS. We have no one in C or D, which is generally a pretty good sign. We have 3 guards in S+, which will probably need some tuning here and there. We'll see how, like, with Athena, I think the tendency to go lower is a little bit higher than with the other 2. But they're all kind of still very comfortable up there, I think. And
I agree.
Then the guards in S, like out of the guards in S, I think Morrigan is at the end here, but she is more likely to get nerfed than some of the other guards in S right now, because that's partially due to her being glitched and stuff as well. And Erlang, I can also imagine, might get some more nerfs, just because he didn't get any yet in the context of Berserker's Shield. Yeah. And the rest will unfold itself over time. Yeah, right, we did not make it in a shorter time, I think. Or did we?
More guards, man.
2 hours 30 something, yeah? Like, maybe.
If you like went through this long, man, you're a beast, okay? And if you just scroll to the end now to see the result, man, you should go and watch it. It's great. It's great discussions, great anecdotes. I even dropped the skin code in there. Actually, I didn't. But now you're gonna go back
I should add a skin code somewhere now.
Yeah, you should do that.
Somewhere in this video. Good luck.
Somewhere like randomly SS, you know, there's gonna pop up a skin code for like 1 second, and people have to watch it, you know.
All right.
Out of the like million frames, they have to find it.
I'll do it. With that, thank you guys very much for watching. If you haven't checked out Emilzy yet, which you should have done in the whole time we've been talking anyways, but if you haven't yet, The links will be like up there, down there, left and right, up and down, in the description or in the comments. You'll find it. Or it's just youtube.com/Emilzy anyways, right?
Yeah, that's me. Emilzy GG.
Oh, GG.
Yeah.
Good thing you say it.
I couldn't find Emilzy.
You could.
Of all I was taking.
Oh yeah, okay, that actually makes sense.
Some girl with 4 subscribers had it.
It's a girl called Emilzy?
Yeah.
Oh.
She has my Twitter as well.
But not your Twitch.
Nah, my Twitch is my Twitch. I got it, man. I wrote to Twitch support. I was like, please.
Please.
And they're like, sure.
And Twitter was like, nope. Same as with mine. Some French dude has mine.
Yeah, I don't know. They just, whatever, man.
All right. Any closing words?
Yeah, well, I hope you guys like enjoyed this, and I hope you'll take it into consideration. I also just want to mention, like, this is not us trying to like force this down on you. We're not saying that you should only play guards in A to S plus. Have fun with the game, you know, and just if you want to get into ranked and stuff, maybe try and pick some of the upper like level guards and try and see how you do with that. But again, this is just more to like rate guards more than like trying to force you to play anything. So just have fun with the game and enjoy it, you know.
I actually like to add to that as well, because there's been like a discussion that's going on all the time, up and down, back and forth, about like what's the point of a tier list. And I think that the idea of a tier list is to like paint a picture of where guards stand, like from a competitive standpoint, from where other people, how they are valued, who bans them, and why we think they're good. And obviously, like, somebody else will make another tier list and will put other guards in other places, but you will generally find a general tendency of like no one will put somebody in A- in his right mind, basically. Yeah. Unless he's trolling. So it's just more to like, you know, get a bit of an inspiration, and then based on that, you can still play your B tier guards, and you can be like, but I'm the best player, the best Fenrir player in the world. I'm gonna keep playing Fenrir, and you can do well with them every game, and like no one will doubt you. But obviously, it's always a frame of reference as well in the context of which level of play is this on. Like if you're in lower tiers, if you're playing casual, you can get away with all the B tier guards easily at the moment as well. There's none that is so bad that you shouldn't play it. Again, it's just B, not C or D tier. And everything above that is probably a bit easier to play, and that's the main point. Mm-hmm. All right, and with that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you check out Emilzy's channel as well, and I hope to see you all for the next one tomorrow. Deuce Sloth, out.